Tigo, welcome to our August council meeting. School's about to start. I know everybody's excited about that. Councilman, how you doing?
Good to see you.
But today we have several presentations. Tigo, why are you hiding? Tigo's here representing BNI, the Miami Lakes Chamber, and everything economic development related. So Tigo, if you could join me in presenting this. The first presentation that we have is for Vitas Healthcare of Miami Lakes. We have Natalia Hernandez, the Vice President of Operations, Annette Regueño, the General Manager, and Maria Hidalgo, the Volunteer Service Manager, here with us tonight. Welcome, ladies. So we have, and Councilman Collazo just arrived, we have a token of our appreciation for being great members here of the community. Whereas Vitas Healthcare was established in 1978 in South Florida as one of the nation's first hospice programs, and today remains as the nation's leading provider of hospice care. Vitas has inpatient hospice units at Hialeah Hospital, Palmetto General Hospital, University of Miami Hospital, and Med Square in Kendall. Vitas Healthcare continues to operate under the mission it was originally founded upon, to preserve the quality of life for those they care for with dignity and compassion, which to date includes approximately 1.6 million patients and families across the nation with 10,000 employees. And whereas residents of Miami-Dade County have improved access to compassionate end-of-life care through Vitas Healthcare's services and benefits, and providing healthcare decisions to those they serve. And whereas the town of Miami Lakes supports all organizations that serve the medical needs of our community at all stages of life. And in observance thereof, I call upon all residents of the town of Miami Lakes to join me in honoring and commending Vitas Healthcare on National Healthcare Decisions Day for educating our community regarding the many healthcare choices available to assist them and their families at the end of life. Now, therefore, I, Manny Sid, by virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the town of Miami Lakes, and on behalf of the town council and all 33,000 Miami Lakers, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, August 13, 2024, as Vitas Healthcare Day here in the town of Miami Lakes.
Thank you so much. This is such an honor to care for our residents here in Miami Lakes. Right now, we have currently 2,700 patients in the Dade County census. So we're privileged. This is an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mayor. It's an honor to be here. We actually moved our offices to Miami Lakes a year ago, July of last year. So very honored to be here and welcome. Thank you for the welcoming into the community. It's been a pleasure being here.
Thank you. As a member of this community for many years, I have seen Miami Lakes grow, and I'm just so proud that Vitas has chosen this wonderful community to be here. So thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry that I just got here to the meeting. Duty calls, right? And I work in an industry or a profession that living is part of it, right? I work in long-term care, but passing away, right? And I have seen the indelible mark that you and all the hospice providers, because really that's what we're celebrating here. We're honoring you, Vitas, because you're our local, you're here in our local, so is Catholic, but really the indelible mark that you leave on people's lives, especially at a moment when the families need them most. And I wanted to echo some of those sentiments. I don't know if you shared your personal story before I got here, but you were there, my father's passing, right? And you helped that transition. And I think that that's something that, you know, I will always hospice provider. And I think you hear that story, right? And I think that's one of the things that makes it beautiful to work in your workplace, right? Where you're compassionate and you're helping people transition at a time where they need it most. So not just this provider, because we're really celebrating Decision Day, right? But all of the things that all the hospice providers do, please always consider it something as an end-of-life planning and a decision that can always be made sooner rather than later. I think that's really what I want to share with everybody, right? Don't wait till the last minute. If you know that there is a terminal diagnosis, you have these decisions are made usually better with time. So thank you so much for being here, and I wanted to make sure that we honored you. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I just thank you and congratulations, and I appreciate you being here, part of the chamber and part of our team. Love to have you guys here. Thank you very much. And Councilman Collazo, you're looking great. My God, what's going on? All our councilmen are getting in shape. I'm gonna have to get on a diet.
I'm running. I'm jumping into the race. And,
Let's get some
Oh, thanks. Mayor. Councilman. One more. Oh, you got bumped again.
Thank you. So we have with us today Suyapa Soto. Did I say it correctly? Okay. Today is an important day as well. We're going to be talking about National Surgical Technologists Week in the town of Miami Lakes. That's so important. I know you brought it to, if she wants to join us as well, I'd be more than happy. I know you brought it to our attention. You sent us an email and you educated us, right? I think it's so important. A lot of times we don't realize the amount of different industries, the amount of folks who are in that process that makes such a big difference in people's lives. And for over 60 years, surgical technology has grown to meet the ever-increasing demand for well-educated, highly skilled, and versatile surgical technologists. Surgical technologists are entrusted with the lives and well-being of patients and provide a critical service during surgical procedures. Over 90,000 surgical technologists nationwide are an integral part of the surgical team committed to providing the highest quality of surgical care to patients, and surgical technologists are responsible for the application of sterile and aseptic technique in the operating room, ensuring that equipment functions properly and facilitating safe and effective conduct during invasive surgical procedures. Surgical technologists strive to prevent life-threatening surgical site infections and maximize patient safety. Certified surgical technologists graduate from an accredited program and receive certification conferred by the National Board of Surgical Technology and Surgical Assisting based upon passage of the national examination. The surgical technologist model, how do you say that? I just want to say it correctly. Ager Primo, the patient first. Reflects total commitment to patient safety and advocacy. And now, therefore, I, Manny Sid, by virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the town of Miami Lakes, and on behalf of the town council and all 33,000 Miami Lakers, do hereby proclaim Thursday, August 15, 2024, as National Surgical Technologists Week here in the town of Miami Lakes.
You told me to do this. I wasn't prepared for a speech, but my name is Suyapa Soto. I'm a member of the board of directors of Florida State Assembly on Surgical Technology and Surgical Assistance. For so many years, we've been trying to be recognized nationally. We are the ones that work behind in the operating room, but we're not licensed or anything. If you go to your barbers, your groomers out there, the first thing is you see this postage says it's licensed. We're licensed, everybody's licensed, the anesthesiologist, the doctor, but the nurses, but we're not licensed. So we're we're like the underdogs. So we work numerous hours learning different specialties to perfect it and be an asset to the surgical team. It's a career. We have to go to school. We have to get certified and maintain it. Help me spread awareness to a growing field that many know nothing about. I've been doing this for 25 years, and it's time to bring this career to light. so many can appreciate who's behind that surgical mask. I would like to thank the City of Miami Lakes, Mayor Manny Sid and Joseph Sosa and all the city councils here today for acknowledging and participating in signing the proclamation and recognition of Surgical Technology Week. On behalf of the Florida State Assembly of Surgical Technologists and Surgical Assistants, we thank you. This means a lot to our community and to all the surgical technologists that live and work in our nearby hospitals in South Florida. Thank you very much.
Yes, for sure. Here, give me this. Please look. One thing I missed. Who's missing? No, you're flipping. It's not 'cause I'm special, it's 'cause I'm short. Thank you.
And this next group, they're not here, right? They're at a party. So this next group is, they actually, since they're getting a proclamation, they decided to set up a party and bring Tico here. They invited us to the party after the council meeting, but we doubt, maybe we won't finish until, yeah, we gotta go fast. It all depends. So Tico, we wanted to hand this over to you. It's for Hemisphere Title Company Day. I don't know if I'm going to read it. They're not here. I'm going to read it to
No,
you.
I'll read it to them now when I get
Okay, yeah, please, and take a video of it and share it with us. They're great folks. They've been in our community for a long decades and decades and decades. Actually, we went to school together and everything, so amazing family. We appreciate them. They're raising their kids here, grandkids here. But yeah, send us a video of that. What are you planning to say? Are you going to share it with us?
No, I'm going to do what you do, but I'm going to do it over there. But I do want to say thank you on behalf of Patricia and Natalie Lima, the mother and daughter. They look like sisters, but they're a mother-daughter combination. 40 years they're celebrating today. This is the actual date. That's why they did the big party, which, again, I invite everybody out there on video, too, to come and join them. Join them. It's their food and their drinks. We'll go and drink it. And what I'm going to do now, I'm very excited because what I'm going to do now is what Tom Cruise did at the Olympics. So I'm going to take this, jump off the roof, go motorcycle riding over to their place, and then deliver the flag to the new place. So very exciting. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, on their behalf. Thank you, Council. Appreciate it.
Do we take pictures with Tico or?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Pleasure.
So we have an amazing program here in the town of Miami Lakes, led by Carlito and Kenny, two of our amazing, beloved officers who everybody knows them. You can catch them in your neighborhood, or you can see them at Miami Lakes K8 for the past, how many years already? Long time. But they run a very important program here in our community that was restarted not too long ago, and it's been very successful. And it's our Police Explorer Academy. And I want to call up Carlos and our officers, Carlos and Kenny, to explain the program a little bit and help us recognize our two graduates here tonight. You got to speak. You guys, I see you guys speaking, directing traffic, and so.
I'll make them come up too. He loves to speak, so he's gonna.
And then he'll announce it.
Thank you, everyone. First, I'd like to say thank you Mayor Sid, and also the town council for supporting us and the program. It's a great opportunity for young adult kids exploring what they want to do in their future. It gives them directions and teaches them also about discipline and what to expect. So it's a great honor to have these two, which Ryan Perez and Morgan McShann, in our program. They went through the academy, which is not easy. It's a mini academy, like the police academy itself. The police academy is anywhere from 8 to 1 years, and they went through 3 weeks of 40 hours of being taught discipline, respect, and also the laws, and how to treat people, and every kind. So thank you very much. Thank you for everything you've done, sir.
So Ryan, Morgan, let's give these young men a round of applause. You know, you guys, you're giving a speech. You guys are okay with that? Talk a little bit about what you went through to get that seal on that shoulder, which I know means so much.
Hello everyone, my name is Morgan McShann. I'm a police explorer with the town of Miami Lakes. It was a 3-week academy, put you through physical stress, learn codes, how to give tickets, then a lot of physical PT. You have to know your codes. It's very stressful, but it's pretty easy to get through if you're focused. So I wanted to be a cop for a while since I was little, so now it's just a matter of me going to college, getting my degree, getting a bachelor's in business, and then a master's in law enforcement. So I'm 18, I should be going to college this year, starting off at MDC and then transferring to FIU. Yes.
Let's clap it up for Morgan. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan Perez. I'm an explorer with the town of Miami Lakes. I'm 16 years old, and when we went through the Explorer Academy in June, it was tough. We went through a lot of stress inspection every morning. It was more of a stress test throughout the day, actually, with PT here and there. They said there was 2 PT days a week. We did PT at least 5 days a week. So the academy was very tough, mentally more so than physically. We were put to test our discipline, knowing difference between morning and afternoon, sir and ma'am. And we got to the point where we were saying it instinctively. And I want to thank not only the mayor, our councilman, our major, and I want to give a special thanks to Officer Kenny Torres and Officer Carlos Ortiz. Thank you, everyone.
I was in the break room. No, sorry for being late. I just want to say thank you very much. These are 2 outstanding young men who put in a lot of effort and preparation. A couple of years back, Mayor Sid reached out to me and at the time Major Ruiz to see if we could start up the Explore program. They thought it'd be a great program for the kids here in the town. So we got together with the town manager, and everybody in the council loved it, so we made it happen. Kenny and Carlos were the assigned advisors. Basically what they do is they meet with them weekly to get them ready, to show them how to march, paramilitary, get them ready for the academy. These 2 young men did a great job passing the school, and it's all really to the hard work and dedication of Officer Torres and Ortiz. And with that said, just before I forget, I don't know if you guys know that not yet. So, Explorer Perez's dad, Ron, used to be a sergeant here in the town. So, the blood runs deep. He's still a town alumni member. So we're happy to have him here in our program. So thanks for bringing him, buddy. That's all for me. Thank you, guys. Have a great evening.
Let's get some pictures. What's that? Set them up. Give it up for our future officers. Yep. Are they going to sit next to me during the meeting at some point? Like take turns sitting next to me? .30. Let's call this meeting to order. Yeah, they're fine. Let's call this meeting to order. Long time no see. Let's call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, please. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Good evening. Council Member Collazo. Council Member Morera. Council Member Ruano. No, absent. Councilmember Garcia is absent. Councilmember Dieguez is absent. Vice Mayor Fernandez.
Present.
Mayor Sid.
Present.
Mayor, you have quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's all rise for the opening prayer led by Pastor Ruben Jimenez from Centro Comunitario AFE.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your presence in this place. We ask for your divine intervention in every matter discussed here. Give wisdom to each official. May the city of Miami Lakes be blessed with every decision made here. Today, we pray for Mayor Manisit and every official and staff that is in this building, so that you may bless his family. We ask it for the city of Miami Lakes, for the police, the fire department, for the school, for every child who start classes, and every teacher and every school staff. Protect this city, Lord. May there be peace in every home. We ask this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Gracias, Pastor. Thank you, Pastor. We really appreciate all the work you do. The pastor recently hosted a back-to-school event here. I think 500 people showed up, more than 500, right? That was awesome, Pastor. We appreciate all your work. He opened up a nonprofit now that's helping out thousands of people in our community. Let's remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Brian Morera.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. We have the Better You Minute by Commissioner Fernandez. In the meantime, Council, deferrals, additions, deletions, start looking at them as well.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, council members, residents, and staff of the town that is growing beautifully, Miami Lakes. Perhaps the most powerful thing we can offer others is our word. It is the one thing that has the most meaning. Whether comforting someone or expressing emotions or making a promise, our word is what we stand for and what will always be remembered of us. Many times, we get caught up and simply forget the promises and commitments we've made to others in our lives. It's important to stop and think from time to time about the promises we've made and if we haven't come through with them, to get to work and make things right. It is perfectly normal to get caught up in life and forget, but it is in making time to remember and living up to those commitments that we create greater meaning for the word we give others. Let's make some time this week to think back on the promises and commitments we have made and make sure we live up to the expectations we have set.
Thank you, Commissioner. We always appreciate you and the Mindful Minute. We're on to deferrals, additions, deletions. Council.
Mayor?
Yes.
Item 10B, which is the naming of a park pavilion after a distinguished member of our community, is based on the naming rights ordinance, needs to be pulled. It has to be a public hearing, so I'd like to pull it out of consent and just take it as a standalone item separately.
Okay, so far we have 10B. Any other deferrals, additions, deletions?
Mayor, I'd like to pull item 10D, as in Delta.
Got it, 10D. 10D is being pulled.
Mayor, I'd like to actually put item number 7 to, for now, after item 13. Just want to give some time for some of our colleagues to arrive.
The appointments?
Yes, because one of them requires a supermajority.
Okay.
Oh, never mind. Actually, I'm going to withdraw that.
Okay. No worries. So I'm going to pull 10G as well. So we have 10B, it's a public hearing, 10D, and 10G. Any other deferrals, additions, deletions?
I'll move the agenda as amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. We're moving on to public comments. Madam Clerk.
Good evening and welcome to the regular council meeting, to the section of public comments. All comments and questions from this attending public should always be directed to the mayor in a very courteous tone to ensure the orderly conduct and efficiency of the meeting. Public comments shall be limited to 3 minutes. And welcome as well to the individuals wanting to participate in public comments virtually via Zoom. If you wish to speak, always raise your hand by clicking on the reactions icon and selecting raise hand. And if you're calling as well via phone because you want to listen to the meeting, just be reminded to press by pressing *9. And our IT department will allow each participant to speak one at a time. So welcome, and please just come to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Alejandro Sanchez. I live at 14531 Cedar Court, also known as Sergeant Eddie Perez Court. And I'm here today because I've been a resident of Miami Lakes since 2008. In 2016, I was Volunteer of the Year. I've given a lot of heart, sweat, and tears to this town. And unfortunately today, I had to resign from a committee that I hold very near and dear to my heart, the Veterans Committee. I didn't do this just for any reason. I did it because I felt like there was a progression into bigger things of me helping the town than helping my fellow vets, which I'll still continue doing, just not in the capacity in the Veterans Committee. Within your nominations tonight, you have a nomination for me to be part of the Planning and Zoning Board. It is a very prestigious position, and one that I know that I can fulfill to the best of my abilities. Tonight, a waiver will be presented to you because I do not fit one of the 7 positions that is required for that role. However, I am pursuing at the University of Miami my MBA in commercial real estate, and it's given me a very good background into what development means, not only in a neighborhood, but a town, a county, a state. I really hope that you'll endorse me and that you will vote yes for me when the waiver comes around and when the nomination comes to your vote for me to be on the Planning and Zoning Board. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great evening and not a too long one.
Thank you, Alex. Council Angelo had requested a couple more minutes. He has a quick presentation. Unless somebody has an objection, we're going to give him that opportunity. So he wanted to reserve some of his minutes and do a quick presentation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, council, vice mayor, Mr. Manager, and Madam Clerk. I'm going to take a couple of seconds to do a presentation so you can understand a little bit of what is called the geoplastic system that we've used in our canal embankment stabilization process. This is a product that children use for Play-Doh products. Play-Doh? How many of y'all know what Play-Doh is? That's what kids play. Okay.
Angelo, yeah, grab the handheld. That way the people at home can hear you as well.
So basically, this is, how many of you all have the item that Gina gave you? Would you raise it up, please? Okay. That right there is called free flow concrete. That's what I've been talking about a decade ago. A decade is 97,697 hours ago, almost, about this. So basically, I said this a long time ago that this would not work. A lot of you have gone out to my house, and we met on phase 1 and phase 2, and this is what it is. Somebody had an idea. They had an idea, but they didn't come through with a complete idea. They didn't finish it. They needed to have the bottom of it. The bottom would be like a mesh. If they would have had the mesh on it, it would have worked. By the way, the black end goes inside facing the property, and the green side is what faces the outside of the home. But let's say you all have a pocket. The majority of them have a pocket. The mayor has a pocket. Let's say the mayor likes Skittles, and I want to give him a bag of Skittles, my favorite candy, but got a hole in it, and I pour the Skittles in his bag, in his pocket. What happens to his Skittles? They all drop. So I brought the Skittles to show you. This is what's been happening for the last 10 years. I just found some rocks in my backyard, but I'm calling it the Skittles. So basically, this is what they've been dropping in that project called 57, it's called the 57 rock. So they drop it in by tons and tons and tons, right? Tons of it. But what happens? Rain comes, the blasting occurs, and all that good stuff. Guess where the rocks are going? Where do you think they're all at? Huh? They're all inside the canal. The first million is in the canal, phase 2 is in the canal, and phase 3 is in the canal. There they all are. You see them all there? It ain't magic. That's where they are. All in the canal. So my question is, we understand if on the first, when they did the first phase, they dropped it. They didn't perform. We accept that. We make mistakes, et cetera, et cetera. But now we go into phase 2. You all came out to my house, right? And we walked phase 2. We've been saying the phase 2 should have been fixed, because you make a mistake and you correct it. No. We had an engineer in phase 1. We didn't hold that engineer accountable. We didn't hold anybody. But we went to phase 2, and we sure definitely was not going to accept it. Phase 2 is having the same issue. So I went out today, and I spoke to the project manager, I have his card in my pocket. And I said, well, what happened on phase 2? You guys should have, I know you didn't do phase 1, but you should have learned from phase 1. And they said, well, you know, did you get do you have an engineering, do you have an engineer that signed off on this? I said, yeah. Well, what happened? Why are we not? So what I'm trying to get to is, I'm building a house right now in Miramar, right? Am I going to hire the architect and the structural engineer now at the very beginning? Or am I going to hire that structural engineer at the end when I finish the house? No, we all know we're going to hire him at the very beginning. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. And I'm not, listen, I come here today on a good note. I come here on a friendly note to figure out what we can do to fix this issue. Because it's not acceptable that we didn't learn on phase 2. I don't know who to say is responsible. You guys should know who's responsible. But I'm not here to blame you or do anything, but try to see what we can do. Good evening, sir. So that's what I'm trying to explain to you. I call it the Play-Doh plastic. Now, what would have worked is what I have for you, Flea. This is what would work. Actually, if we go to 170th, on 3 corners of 87th Avenue, we have this free flow product. Guess how long it's been there? It's been there since we incorporated in 2000. Why can't we do this? In Spanish, we have a saying that says, lo que? Lo barato sale caro. That's what we got here. But you know what? There's a lot of people that are trying to make me look like I don't know what I'm talking about. Folks, again, coming back to you, I'm here on a friendly note. I thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak, but we find a solution. Several people have told me, how do we fix it? How do we fix it now? I don't know. Does anybody know how to fix it? But all I can tell you is that throwing another $31,000 on this one, you'd be throwing $31,000 in the canal. Because what is that engineer going to come and say to you? The same thing that I've been telling you. You can bring a NASA engineer, and I'll challenge him. It's simple. What you're using doesn't work. So that's all I can tell you. My recommendation to you today is not to move forward on $31,000. My recommendation is to go to the engineer that you paid on phase 2 and on phase 3 to hold them accountable to fix. You all went out there with me and you saw it. The tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, they're all empty. So I just want to ask, what are we going to do? We're going to lose phase 3. I don't think phase 3 will hold. Oh, the gentleman told me today. Oh, yes, it will. It's got cement. It's got cement.
So Angela, we pulled the item, and we can talk about it again when the item comes up.
Yes.
We'll bring you up, and we'll continue the
what I want
conversation to allow everybody else an opportunity to speak. But Councilman Collazo pulled it, so we're going to have a robust conversation. We'll call you back up.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Of course. Thank you. And we'll call you up when that item comes back up, because I have a couple questions as well. Are there real Skittles there? Yeah. Now we can't eat them.
Anyone else for public comments, please just approach the podium, and welcome to the meeting.
Claudia Luces, 8220 Menteith Terrace. Here on, and I'm just reading what's on the agenda here, piggyback the University of Wisconsin contract to purchase park benches, trash receptacles, and bicycle racks, because we need to maintain our parks, okay? As you embark in the budgetary process, I hope that those of you that sit here before me, Councilman Hirschberg, I know that you have not been sworn in yet, but congratulations. I think that it's important for everyone to take note of what is happening across the nation, what is happening with inflation, and the fact that we cannot afford things. We've talked about some things that have been lacking in this town, and I know that we like to dream big, but you gotta dream within your limits, and you do have limits. Because last I checked, you do not have an unlimited amount of money. Your money comes from us, okay? And everybody wants some of our money, whether it's paying more at the gas stations, at the grocery stores, wherever it is. And I'm sure that the town has also felt that impact. So keeping that in mind, as you embark on this budgetary process, I want to make sure that we stay focused on what is necessary. I know that, not too long ago we had the wonderful Optimus Park bond that came up. Thankfully it didn't go through, because let's not forget, there are those that wanted to saddle us with $25 million worth of taxes that we were going to bear, and no one else. And we know that there are a few here who championed that. So, Mayor, I know that you're running your mayoral campaign, and I, question on the whole keeping the taxes low, especially when you were one of the champions for this. So that being said, again, I hope everyone exercises a bit of caution and focuses on what is necessary. There are things that have to be maintained. That's what happens, wear and tear, the elements. So focus in on that before you start to dream something else that we can't afford. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, we have no participants in line, just for all of you to know.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Public comments is closed. So we're moving on to appointments. We first have Maite Robles to the Education Advisory Board by Vice Mayor Tony Fernandez, and Alejandro Sanchez to the Planning and Zoning Board by Councilmember Brian Morera. This one requires a waiver of Section 13 of the Town Code by supermajority vote of the Town Council. Councilman Morera, are there any motions?
I'll move both of the appointees, and well, once there's a second, if we want to get into discussion.
No, the other one's appointed already.
Oh, okay.
So.
I'll move the appointment of Alejandro Sanchez.
I'll second.
As a brief discussion, I mean, I think that the comments that were made during public comments by Mr. Sanchez show his deep love and his deep commitment to our town. We need people like that on our P&Z. We need people who are going to be stewards of our town, emboldened with the same responsibilities that we have on this dais, but in our local planning agency. Although he doesn't have this set list of job descriptions, frankly, I mean, I understand the thought process behind the town's charter, the town's code in this requirements, but I do think that it actually leaves out a lot of very, very qualified people. In the case of Mr. Sanchez, he is involved in commercial real estate. He's not a newcomer to the game of development in general. So I do think that between his commitment to the town, his commitment to his country, having served our country, and his experience in commercial real estate, I think he is an excellent candidate, and I would ask that that our council support me in appointing him.
I agree 100% with all your comments. Anybody else? Anybody else? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nobody opposed. The motion passes. If Maite or Alejandro are still here, if you could stand up. Is Maite here as well? I'll give these folks a round of applause. Thank you for serving. Thank you. Thank you for giving back to your community. Really, really appreciate you. We're on to committee reports. We have the Sports Hall of Fame Committee.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Roman Garcia. I am the chair of the Sports Hall of Fame Committee. I'm joined this evening by our vice chair and class of 2020 inductee, Miriam Ochoa, and our secretary and class of 2018 inductee, Jim Hamilton. Reason for our presentation tonight is after hours of discussion among the committee, we've narrowed down on a class for induction. It will be our 7th class to be inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame. The event will take place on Saturday, December 14th. VIP time will be 5:30. General public will be at 6:30 at the Optimist Clubhouse. The event is free and open to the public. We do provide food and drinks and a great night of speaking stories, and it's just, we try to do it weather permitting under the lights outside. It's just a great evening with a lot of fun, and a lot of people show up. I mean, we've had a good crowd the last couple of years under the lights. So obviously you guys will be getting invitations from town staff, but yeah, December 14th, there at Optimist Park. At this point, I just wanted to go ahead and give you guys a rundown of our class of 2024, right? Class of 2024. We had 6 individuals that were nominated. We decided to vote on 5 to be inducted this year. Our first inductee, he's a longtime resident of the town of Miami Lakes. He can be frequently seen at the Geezer softball games. He's coached many years at Optimus. Despite being over the age of 70, he still plays actively baseball, not softball, at travel tournaments all over the state of Florida, representing the town of Miami Lakes. And by what Jim told me and Dave Oliver told me, he probably has the biggest trophy collection you will ever see for baseball. And his name is Jose Caballero. Our second inductee this year is a longtime basketball coach, resident of Miami Lakes, was one of the founding members of the basketball program with Jim and Richard Blake. It was Jim Hamilton, Richard Blake, and then this gentleman also has spent 30 years coaching and teaching in the county, and his name is Reed Stevenson. Our third inductee is a former baseball player from Monsignor Pace High School who graduated in 1997. He went on to be a third-round draft pick by the Seattle Mariners, spending 6 years in the minor leagues before injuries derailed his career. He is now currently the co-owner of Mayor's Cafe in Miami Lakes, we will be inducting Daniel Delgado to the Sports Hall of Fame. Our fourth inductee, upon blessing from the council, he is a former player and coach at HML, and most recently retired as the athletic director at Barry University, where under his tutelage, the university won, I want to say, north of 28 national championships in Division II for the NCAA. He is also as a member of the 1978 state championship soccer team at HML as a player, and was a two-time All-American at Miami-Dade College, and won a national championship at Miami-Dade in 1993 as an assistant, before moving on to Barry and taking over their program, and then eventually ascending to the role of athletic director, and recently retired. His name is Mike Cavone. And our last inductee is another former baseball player from Monsignor Pace High School. He also went on to play at Miami-Dade College, the University of Miami, before being drafted in 1990 in the first round of the Major League Draft by the Chicago White Sox. He later would come back home to play for the Florida Marlins and was part of the 1997 World Series championship team. Spent 10 years in the major leagues, and our highlight of this year's class will be Alex Fernandez. So that is what we're putting in front of you for approval so that we can go ahead and let the gentleman know. I think this is the first year that, unfortunately, we don't have a woman inductee. Now that we have Miriam as a committee member, not only a member of the Hall of Fame, but she's a committee member and vice chair, there will be a lot more women coming before you in future years. This has been a great exercise this year. We've finally hammered down a lot of changes that we've brought to you in previous meetings with the resolutions and stuff, just to get language clear. Having been one of the first two members of this committee, I've been involved with it for 8 years now. Obviously, it's our 7th class because of COVID killed one of our classes. But it's been a fun ride. I'm looking forward to this class especially. And then we'll see what we got in the future. But, you know, it's a great night. I hope you guys can join us that night. As I said, December 14th, 5:30. We usually have the inductees come early with their families so that we can enjoy, you know, the council member and town staff can enjoy conversations with them and hear their stories. And, you know, I think I've mentioned it in committee meetings. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of it. We are launching a Sports Hall of Fame podcast. It will be filmed coming soon. We already have our first couple of guests lined up. Our goal with that podcast is not only to promote the event, but also to promote the stories of these said inducted Hall of Famers and future Hall of Famers that we have. Our goal in life is when these kids walk through Optimus Clubhouse and they see those plaques, they can say, one day I'm going to be on that wall. Having a 10-year-old, he's told me that one day he's going to be on that wall. And I can only hope that one day I can see him on that wall. So, you know, we're here for any questions you guys might have, but we're looking forward to this class.
So I'm gonna recuse myself because one of the members is my partner at Mayor's Cafe, so I don't want people later on being like, he favoritism or something. So I'm gonna recuse myself on this.
Council, any questions?
If there's a motion required, I'd like to move the slate of candidates that were proffered by the committee.
We have a motion and a second by Councilman Morera. I would before I forget, if you're gonna do the podcast, if you could do QR codes next to each inductee's frame. That way, when people visit the Sports Hall of Fame, they can pull up that podcast episode. And
we'll definitely bring it up to town staff so that as we move forward, we can do that.
Very good.
Likewise, as you get artwork and all that stuff for the actual event, go ahead and share it with us so we can share it on our own.
My understanding upon speaking to town staff earlier today, our goal is to have the Eventbrite up by end of week. We are looking for sponsors for the event on top of general admission tickets, which are free to the public. So we have different tiers for sponsorships. We're very lucky with our title sponsor that has been with us for a couple of years now. But yeah, by town staff told me, hopefully by end of week, they'll be promoting it across the social media channels for the town.
Perfect, great job.
Any other questions, council? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. We're gonna go ahead and call the inductees and let them know that they've been inducted and give them the details so that they can start planning that night.
And on behalf of the entire council, congratulations to all of the new class of inductees. Let's give them a hand.
Thank you guys again for giving back. It's actually one of my favorite events of the year. It's a beautiful event. Now we're on to special presentations, Miami-Dade County Public Schools.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. I am Ailette Rodriguez Diaz. I'm the Administrative Director with Miami-Dade County Public Schools, the Office of Intergovernmental Affairs and Family and Community Engagement. Our offices are located at 1450 Northeast 2nd Avenue. My suite is 776, Miami, Florida 33132. Thank you for allowing me to be here this evening. I'm here on behalf of our Chief of Intergovernmental Affairs, Ms. Tabitha Fazzino, and I bring greetings from our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Jose Dotres. And as we get ready to welcome our students to the first day of school on Thursday, we really want to thank the town for the continuous support for our Miami Lakes schools and in support of our programs. The town supports many of our AP language arts vocabulary programs and our STEM programs, so for that we are grateful. Each of you have a packet, and within these packets you have some information regarding the Miami Lakes schools. As you may know, the state of Florida recently released school grades, and all of Miami Lakes schools are rated an A. So congratulations to the council and of course the school district. The school district has actually been rated an A-rated school district for the 5th consecutive year. So you'll also notice a long map within your folder. And although there are 5 Miami-Dade County public schools within your jurisdiction, there are a total of 3,823 children who reside here in Miami Lakes, but they attend nearly 128 different Miami-Dade schools across the county. And we are thrilled to have them engage in choice options and really taking advantage of all of the programming that Miami-Dade County Public Schools has to offer. In addition, in your folder, you'll also have information regarding internship, mentoring, and volunteering programs, as well as Alumni 305. We know that Miami Lakes is blossoming with entrepreneurs, businesses, restaurants, so we would really like to engage the town to see if there are any internship opportunities for our students. Really, these businesses will have the opportunity to interview these students and really find the best fit for their business. As for the Parent Academy, this has been re-envisioned for the past couple of years now. The Parent Academy hosts a series of webinars for all of our families in English, in Spanish, and Haitian Creole. They take place at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. There's a plethora of webinars available to our families between navigating the parent portal so that parents can access their child's textbooks, as well as their child's grades, their attendance information, their teacher's information. There's information on how to help your child with homework, how to help your child prepare for the FAST assessment. So all of these webinars are available for families under parentacademy.com. And as for the post-secondary and career and technical, there are 7 technical colleges, and one is right here in Miami Lakes. That's Miami Lakes Educational Center and Technical College. There's financial aid available for those who qualify. You'll be able to find their brochure as well as all of their programs. You have culinary arts and hospitality, just to mention a few. You have construction, dental assistance, medical assistance, pharmacy technician. So there are tons of programs right here located in Miami Lakes. And honestly, innovative programs such as these and initiatives such as these really make Miami-Dade County Public Schools your best choice for education. So once again, we'd really just want to thank the council for their continuous support. And we look forward to continuing to work with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council, I did forget an item in the consent calendar. I want to make a motion to reopen the consent calendar.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. I just wanted to move Item 10H, I wanted to pull it for discussion. Item 10H, so closing the consent calendar, I'll move to adopt the calendar.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. We're on to item 10B. This is a public hearing. It's a resolution of the Town of Miami Lakes, Florida, pursuant to Town Code Article 12, Division 2, naming a park pavilion at Veterans Park in honor of Gary Cardenas, providing for instructions to the town manager, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. Anybody here wishing to speak on item 10B from the public? This is a public hearing. Item 10B is a public hearing under our naming ordinance. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Are there any motions on item 10B?
I'll move
it.
There's a motion, a second. A discussion on this, Councilman Collazo.
I don't really have discussion. I brought the item forward. I think it's got unanimous support from the council, and I really don't have discussion, Mayor.
Sounds good. Anybody else? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. We're on to item 10D. Item 10D, Councilman Collazo.
Thank you. I do have some points I do want to clarify on this item, and I think we kind of, I think we were all present in some way, shape, or form. We're all represented at a meeting and a walkthrough, and I do want to thank the individual, Angelo, for inviting us into your home. The field trip that we did, and we had the opportunity to see all aspects of the project. And I think, at least for me, one of the things that I had the opportunity while on this council, I think we've taken a couple stabs at trying to make it right? And this is something that probably all of us, except the mayor, inherited, in the sense that it came in from a previous administration, and it was something that was advocated for at the time because it was the most cost-effective, I believe, if I remember. I wasn't on the dais, but I think I remembered some of the dialogue when we looked at Doral and we looked at, but we've had some setbacks, right? In this particular setting, I don't think we ever accounted for ground vibrations, right? And the effect that blasting would have. I don't think that we accounted for this thing being run into by some of the Miami-Dade County equipment when they go in there and do some maintenance. So it's had some setbacks. And the reason that I pulled the item is because we're going to invest $31,000, and the reality is, the report's probably going to tell us some of the things that we already know. We're going to invest $31,000 because we have to, right? It's a compliance issue. From what I believe, Mr. Santos, we have to study the certain components of the project, and I just wanted to make sure that we're setting a level that I don't believe whatever report comes back is going to cause us to unearth the project and redo the project, right? So I think the speaker, Angelo, made some salient points in the sense that, are we spending good money after bad to get a report that's going to kind of tell us already what we know? And it's not like we're going to be able to go after somebody because we got this report, right? We're not going to be able to, like you said, maybe go after previous contractors or engineers because there's been so many things that we can't really point the finger at. That's what's causing this, right? Was it the best application to begin with? I don't know. Moving forward, hindsight is 2020. Would we do this again? Probably not. We'd probably go with the riprap, that product, that concrete product that you're suggesting. But I'll hear from Omar and please guide us on what you believe is the best outcome from this engineering study.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Omar Santos. I'm the Public Works Director. The item you have before you is a combination of just an inspection that we have to do as far as the department to see the condition of, specifically in this case is for phase 1. This is from the water inspection. We don't have the resources to do that in-house, so in this case we're outsourcing, or we're recommending to outsource. The second component of this item is a request from Vice Mayor Fernandez. Once this inspection has been completed, we will have a third-party engineer, which is from this firm, to do an evaluation of the installations and the findings, and then determine if it was a proper installation.
Okay, to that point, right? And this is the part that I was asking the manager. You know, let's say that there is some causal relationship with how it was installed, right? And it's material to the performance of how this product is currently performing. Would the intent then be to go after the contractor or go after the engineers that installed it so we can recoup some of those monies?
That would be a discussion that.
Because then it's money well spent. But if we're not going to go after the people that kind of maybe installed this wrong, and you know, I want to make sure that we're level setting and being transparent with the public, but at the same time, you know, not setting ourselves up to spend $30,000 to then not be able to recapture it.
So I want to address two points, if I may, Councilman.
Sure.
And to the mayor and to the council. First of all, my understanding is that both Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3 have been constructed differently. While, yes, Phase 1 and Phase 2 had that, you know, for lack of a better word, kind of rock approach where it was, that was kind of the
Phase
fill.
Phase 1.
Phase 1.
2 and 3 are
correct. Phase 1 did. Thank you, Mr. Manager. The Phase 2 and Phase 3 had concrete, so it's a little bit of a different design. So part of the actual going back and doing this review is to see what, if any, were the reasons or the causes that you're seeing some of these parts of the wall embankment kind of fall apart.
So I'm going to stop you right there. Let's say we identify a cause.
Okay.
A barge hit it from Miami-Dade County.
Okay.
Are we going to go after Miami-Dade County for damages?
Right. So in order for us to be able to find out, right, what caused the damage, and any starting point in any type of legal action, right, is part discovery. No, you got to figure out what caused it.
Right, but here's the problem that I have.
It's all causation.
Yeah, and here's the problem that I have. We have had the opportunity to go after contractors for damages, and we've chosen not to in the past, right? So we've had these opportunities, and going back, I hear the gentleman's frustration. He's brought up an issue. He's been, you know, to the point where it's almost, for some people, comical, right? Because that's how he expresses himself. But to be quite honest with you, he's been telling us for the past, at least since I've been on this dais, right? Something's wrong here. Something's wrong here. The things you guys are doing. So I hear his frustration to the point where he's convinced some of us, right, and I voted on this item as well, to go ahead and spend $30,000. But to what point, right? To get us a study to tell us, look, the thing is not working right. No. If it's $30,000, so then we can go after the people who didn't do it right, either the people who advised us incorrectly in the beginning that this was the product, the people who are currently damaging it now, whether it be miners, whether it be people crashing into it with heavy equipment and machinery, then I'm okay with it. But if it's just $30,000 to sit on it, I'll just take the part that he needs for the study. Am I making sense?
You are, but I think, yeah.
So, let's see how I phrase this. So we do inspections of, let's say, the roads. So we have an inspector that goes and he, throughout the year, he does per phase, he does inspections. This is that, but for the canal bank. In-house, we don't have the capabilities to do this type of inspection, so we have to outsource it.
A portion of it.
Well, we're looking at Phase 1, all of Phase 1.
Right, so is this for all of Phase 1 or for the entire project so far?
All of Phase 1, just Phase 1.
Only Phase 1.
Okay, so the $30,000 has nothing to do, right, with the damages. The $30,000 has everything to do with that point of water study that we need. You used the point, from the water point, or from the inspection water.
From the water side, yes.
Yeah, from the water side, I'm sorry.
Because when we do, the capabilities we have is to walk the bank like we did when we visited.
Right, you can't get in the water and
Correct.
study it. You need somebody with special equipment to get in there, a John boat or some type of floating craft, and say, hey, I'm looking at this, and then certify as an engineer that this is meeting the expectations.
And to provide, based on their findings, provide what we call a repair procedure for those areas.
Understood. Yeah. Just for Section 1?
For Phase 1.
Just for Phase 1. So this is going to look strictly at Phase 1. It is compliant with something that you already need to do. The intent is not to, so let's say we identify issues. Can we use that study then to go after the people who damaged the
Councilmember and Omar, correct me if I'm wrong. We believe, and obviously blasting may have had some impact on it, when anybody, whether it's the county doing canal maintenance or anybody with a little boat in that canal could be the cause of some of the damage spots if there is damage. And we got to be careful not to put the cart before the horse, because we're not 100% sure that there even is, right? There is erosion of some of the soil and some of the cells. But structurally, Omar, correct me if I'm wrong, structurally, I think all of it or most of the structure seems to be intact. And is there canal bank erosion behind it? Evidence from, I know we're only looking at it from the canals, the bank side.
So I think, like council member mentioned, when we walked some sections, we did see some of the top areas that had sunken a little bit, but there was no like complete failure of the bank. We would have maybe a few feet back, and then as part of this inspection, they would provide a full report of level by level.
I got
what
it.
sections are impacted and what they recommend.
I'm comfortable with the item with the feedback that you gave me. I thought it was a little bit broader based on the fact that we all toured it, right? That I thought it was going to be looking at a more comprehensive thing. I didn't know it was just that it was really just to comport with the inspection, right? And I think it's focusing in on that. What I do like that's part of this report that I do want to put a point of emphasis on is that the contractor or the engineering firm is committing to any and all meetings if we can have one of those be a public meeting.
Yeah,
right?
so
to present the findings, present the report.
So part of the cost has those meetings, so we may or may not do them, but like you mentioned, that's something we can discuss to them.
Well, I believe it was in part of the contract. It was something that when I was in my briefing, I saw that they were agreeing to come in if they can, again, for members of the public who have this issue in their backyard. And Angela, I know that you've been going through your neighborhoods, you've been talking to everybody. This is a study that we have to do anyway, right? It was a study that we have to do. It's not an additional $31,000 that we're spending. This is a study looking narrowly at Section 1 because of the age of the product that's installed in there. And if we can just have a public meeting to then let the people know what's happening, I'm completely fine with the item.
So, if I may, Mr. Mayor, my concern, I echo the concerns of Councilmember Collazo, but looking at the actual proposal in a little bit more detail, I'm a little concerned because, again, if we were to get an engineer's opinion and report that the canal bank is fine, which I highly doubt, then okay, money well spent because we confirmed that we don't have to spend any further money. But if, as I think we all anticipate, we are going to be receiving an engineer's opinion that there are problems with this canal bank, then it comes back to what Councilmember Collazo was saying. What are we doing with that info? My concern is, as someone who's hired engineers before for the purpose of holding somebody accountable, I'm concerned that while it mentions within the scope of work that part of their scope is to assess the condition of pre-existing work along phase 1, and that they're going to provide analysis of the site conditions. I mean, I get it. They're going to take pictures and they're going to look at it. I need an actual professional opinion on causes of damages. I don't see anything here relating to causes of damages, whether it be defective workmanship, defective material, whether the material performed to within its operating limits, whether maybe the material or method of installation chosen was done correctly, but it may not have been the correct material or method for our climate, this specific location. Without that information, we can't hold whoever the contractor is accountable or the manufacturer accountable in the case of a material deficiency. So I want to make sure that that's included in here. I didn't see it.
All right, so I was about to. So that's the vice mayor's item that was added to this after his new business item. If you look at section 1.3, item C, deliverables.
Yeah, that's where I just read from.
We go to analyze the as-built plans, project specifications, manufacturer and material specifications, and provide analysis of site conditions to determine whether the design and specifications were appropriate for the site conditions. And and then we go into determine of the extent of the damage, and that's what I called the repair procedures.
So, I mean, again, I understand that they're gonna let us know what we need to do to improve it, but before I get to that, I need to know a why. Why am I even repairing this thing?
That's part of their analysis.
Because with that why is how I can hold the contractors responsible.
Yeah.
And make sure that we actually got our money's worth as a municipality.
Yeah, and council member, just as a point of information, at the conclusion of the project when it was first installed, and correct me if I'm wrong, we had engineers that were on site. CEI was involved in this project, Omar?
I was not around for that
I know,
project, but
you and me both.
I understand there was a town hired project manager from outsourced, and the engineer of record was also part of the inspection team.
Right, so they verified that, obviously, some engineer or some architect develops the plans, and then they verified that the contractor installed the product based on the plans. And we had engineers that verified that, yes, based on the plans and the installation and the manufacturer's recommendations, at the point of installation, 8 years ago, it was installed based on the manufacturer's recommendations and according to the construction plans.
Right. What's a little bit different is obviously we've seen the bank now, and we have evidence of specific failures, right? So it's kind of like when the plane was inspected at Boeing before it left, everybody thought it was good, but then something happened.
Right, and the difficult thing is going to be the causation part.
Correct.
Right, and similar to many of our residents that have cracked pools and driveways and decks and everything else, is connecting the dots and saying that is the reason why, because there's so many factors. It could be different factors. So that's going to be the difficult part. I think one big purpose of this is to see, are there deficiencies? So let's develop a plan to correct the deficiencies. Probably that's 95% of the objective here is to identify deficiencies and correct them before those deficiencies get worse, as opposed to trying to pinpoint and say, well, it was the design, or it was the installer, or it was this, or whatever, because it's going to be very difficult. As long as the design engineer developed the plans based on manufacturer specifications and so forth, and the installer or the contractor installed it based on specifications, it's going to be difficult to say that it was their fault. There's so many other factors post-installation that it's going to be difficult. So the primary objective is to identify any deficiencies, and let's develop a plan to correct it before those deficiencies get worse.
So real fast, so we get in the proper posture. A motion one way or the other. I know there's already been 3 folks that have spoken, just to get this moving in the right direction. If not, we're going to be going.
I'll move the item.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Anybody else left to chime in? Councilman Verano, Councilman Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I think that I'm satisfied with the reason why we need the study and what the study is going to tell us, hopefully, in the end. One of the most important reasons why we visited Angelo's home. No, it's okay. One of the most important reasons why we visited Angelo's home was because we were starting on phase 3. And I believe that the idea or the intent was to catch phase 3 before it was fully installed, in the event that there was something that we could identify in phase 1 or in phase 2 that could help us make phase 3 a better project. The project had already started, and we couldn't pull that back. Is there any way that we can, I don't know how far along we are on phase 3. I do know that there is solid cement cells on the bottom on phase 2 and phase 3. So that is one of the things that we identified in phase 1 that was a problem, that the rocks were coming out of the cells for different reasons. Phase 2 and phase 3 both have solid cement on the bottom. Is there any way that we can delay phase 3 until we have this report, to ensure that there isn't anything that we identify in this report that could possibly also apply to phase 3?
The problem is, as per the contract, if we do that, then there could be some liability to the town. That's the issue. By the contractor.
If I may, I mean, wouldn't this just be while a contract may say that, I know that better than anyone else, you can still reach out to them. It may be in both parties' best interest to put a temporary pause, because if we do identify an issue, it may result in a change order to phase 3, which may end up even being more lucrative. I mean, it'll be more expensive to us and possibly, but yield a better product that actually does its job rather than needing to be repaired 10 years later.
You bring up
a voluntary amendment is what I'm saying.
What you said is the important part, and may is not. I think will is the operative word. Be a cost, because the contractor, regardless, is going to have to stop the project. He may agree to it, but some of that burden and some of that cost of him having to stop, the town is going to have to bear. If that's the direction that you want us to go and explore that, we can definitely do that. But
to be clear, the engineer's report states that it's a 5-week process. So, I mean, we're not talking about an eternity. We're talking about, let's call it, because it's government, not 5 weeks, let's call it 2 months. It's not in the world of construction, 2 months is not a big deal. I don't think it hurts to at least ask.
Exactly where I was going. I'm sorry. That's exactly the statement I was going to make. I have no issue with the ask. And we can ask in a way of, hey, heads up, we need to talk. We can have that type of a conversation. But telling them to stop and then, what do you call it? Recommit? What do they call it?
Recommencement?
No, they call it when they equip and get there again.
Mobilize.
Remobilize. Redeploy. That is a cost to them. That's an issue. That I don't want to do.
And going on what you said, Raul, is that's actually in the contract, that anything that we do to stop the project, the town is responsible for those fees.
Right. So what I think we should do is exactly what the councilman said. Have a conversation. Tell them, that it's a serious conversation, that you want to have it, and we may want to get the lawyers involved, but we're concerned. Without telling them to stop, without incurring liability, but letting them know so that the right eyes are on this. The right eyes, the right lawyers, the right people. Is that something that...
All right, Councilman Ronald, you still have the floor.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's, okay, so my other question was, the contractor that built phase 2 is the same contractor that's building phase 3?
Yes.
Correct. When that contractor built phase 2, there were a number of issues. I remember being very involved, very active in monitoring, and there was a lot of aspects of that project that went wrong. And when I did a little bit of digging, I found out that contractor was installing this product for the first time. They had never installed the product before, and they were the only contractor that bid on the project and that was willing to install the project. Do we know if this particular contractor has installed this product elsewhere after they did phase 2, or is this the second time that they're installing this product anywhere?
I would have to provide that through the manager after the meeting.
Okay, that's important for me to know, because when this came up the first time, it surprised me and it actually concerned me that the contractor had never, they were experimenting with the product with us, and it was evident because there was, thing after thing after thing that went wrong. I don't know how this phase 3 has gone because I have not been as involved, so I don't know if we've had any hiccups or if this is going smoothly now, if phase 3 is going smoothly, but I would like to know if they've installed it somewhere else, if there are other municipalities that are using this particular product. I know that for the sake of continuation and for the sake of aesthetics, it's in our best interest to continue to install the same product. Otherwise, it would look really choppy and really ugly. But I'd still like to know at some point if they've had more experience with the product. Thank you.
I'll provide that.
Council member, Mayor, if I may, Omar, talk a little bit about some of the problems on phase 2 that were discovered as the contractor was moving along. There were some issues that our own residents were really doing, right, with drain lines from the houses there,
Yeah.
sprinkler lines that they were drafting from the canal, and then actually running PVC through some of the cells when, as the contractor was 100 feet away, they were going back behind them and eroding some of the finished product.
So that we actually saw in the walkthrough, and it's happened in several locations that residents taking upon themselves to dig through the wall to install the irrigation line, and that completely damages that entire section, which is something that we're in the works to get correct, and have the residents take part of that correction.
Hey, Angela, I got a quick question for you. No, if you can. No. But that's not my question. That's not my question. No. Okay. What are your thoughts on this contract? What do you recommend?
At this stage in time.
If you could speak into the.
At this stage in time, I just don't know what to tell you. I wish we would have figured out when I've been talking to you guys, and I'm not blaming you. I came to you today to talk to you on a good note and a positive. I'm looking for solutions. I don't know. I've had other people tell me, can we fix what is there? I don't think. I'm not an engineer, but I don't think it could be fixed what's there, because we went back and threw $25,000 of all of our money last time to phase 1. A guy came with a little aluminum John boat and some bags of concrete, and he was just throwing it in there. Guess where it's $25,000 again is in
So
the
this,
water.
in your opinion, this would be a waste of money?
It'll be a waste of money. Yes, sir.
That's all I
That
need
is
to
my
know.
answer. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you very much. Councilman Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. So the study we have to do, and this is required, as you mentioned, right? You said that
It's an inspection.
An inspection, okay. The initial expansion of phase 1 yielded some errors or issues that we had to make adjustments to phase 2 and 3, right? Adding the concrete layers in the bottom. Is
What I understand, yeah, the reason that was added, it was because of the findings after phase 1 was constructed.
okay? So this phase 1 study that we're doing, I mean, is it going to reveal anything new about the damages? It'll just reveal the causes.
Again, the main goal of the item you have in front of you was something that we have to do just as part of our regular operations. We have to inspect this. And it's just like we inspect the roadway, just like we inspect the sidewalks. In this case, it's just a canal bank that we have to do from the water.
Okay. But the findings are going to be the same. I mean, there was the engineering was unfortunately, I don't know if I want to say shoddy, but it didn't work. It had issues.
We'll identify the areas that need correction, and as part of the inspection that we were already planning to do, we added the request from Vice Mayor to have an engineer opinion added to this work order.
Okay. So I wasn't around when this happened. Some of us weren't. Some of us I don't think were. But I mean, it is clear that projects like this that require an immense amount of engineering, we should seriously consider, as Councilman Urano says, not giving it to a contractor that's never done something before. Us to be an experiment. We've already seen what's happening with the bank. I mean, aesthetically, yeah, it looks okay. But honestly, going forward, I would ask us as a body and staff and Public Works Director to have contractors that have done it before and have proven techniques that have worked, especially when it comes to infrastructure, because 7-10 years down the road, look what we have to do. So I just think we shouldn't do, if a contractor doesn't have experience, then we put it out for bid again and we wait. But we cannot have experimental techniques and experimental contractors doing things, and these are the results. And again, it's a learning experience for all of us, I believe. So as long as we fix our mistakes, and we learn from this, then we move forward as a town. But again, honestly, we can't experiment with infrastructure. So that's just my 2 cents.
Very brief clarification here. The project is now, as of now, 8 years old, right? Is it a requirement or is it a best practices that we have inspections every 10 years on this kind of infrastructure?
Well, the 10-year you saw is just my comment in the memo that is approaching 10 years, and we're already seeing certain deficiencies that we want to take a closer look. So that's the main recommendation.
So we're just pushing it up.
Yeah, maybe in this case, it's more of a best practice that we've already seen some shifts in the product, and we want to go and take a closer look and do a full analysis of what's going on there.
But I'm trying to hone in on several times up here, and I think over there I've heard the word requirement or required 10-year inspection.
There's no outside
wanna
entity
clarify
that's
that it's
requiring
not a
us to
required
do it.
inspection.
Yeah, no.
And if it was a required inspection, then I was going to ask if to confirm that this 8-year inspection is not going to have to be, that I'm not going to have to spend another $31,000 in 2 years.
Like the manager mentioned, it's not a required inspection. It's just it's been identified, and we're making the recommendation to go ahead and do a full inspection.
Thank you.
So I think we've discussed this enough. If Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Item 10D, motion to move the item by Councilmember Morera, seconded by Vice Mayor Fernandez. Councilmember Morera.
Aye.
Councilmember Garcia.
Yes.
Councilmember Collazo.
Yes.
Councilmember Ruano.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fernandez.
Yes.
Mayor Sid.
No.
The motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're on to the next item, which is item 10G. I just wanted to vote no on this item, and it was on consent, so if there's any motions to approve it, we'll go from there.
I'll move item 10G.
Any seconds?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? I am a no, Madam Clerk. And then item 10H. Additionally, I just want to vote no on that item, and it was on consent. Any motions to approve?
I'll move it.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Madam Clerk, I am a no. Thank you. We are back on to the consent calendar as amended. Any motions?
I'll move it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. We're on to the next item, ordinances in first reading, item 11A.
An ordinance of the Town of Miami Lakes, Florida, amending Chapter 4, Article 3, creating Section 4-443 titled Exemptions, providing for inclusion into the code, providing for repeal of ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
All right, Mr. Mayor, this is my item. This is an ordinance in first reading, essentially bringing back and memorializing into an ordinance an item that I brought last month, potentially the month before, to create a program to reduce permit fees for accessibility-related improvements to our residents' homes.
Got it. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on this? It's an ordinance of first reading, so. seeing none, yeah. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Item 11A.
Item 11A, Councilmember Garcia.
Yes.
Councilmember Collazo.
Yes.
Councilmember Ruano.
Yes.
Councilmember Morera.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fernandez.
Yes.
Mayor Sid.
Yes.
Ordinance in first reading passes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're on to ordinances in second reading. This is item 12A. Item 12A. This is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on item 12A? Anyone from the public wishing to speak on item 12A? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Mr. Attorney.
An ordinance of the Town of Miami Lakes, Florida, amending Chapter 18, Section 18-2, titled Definitions, amended Chapter 18, Section 18-124, titled Community Centers Rules and Regulations, providing for inclusion into the code, providing for repeal of ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is also my item. and essentially the spirit of this item is to also ban vaping in areas where we already banned smoking in the town.
Okay, is that, you made a motion?
That is my motion.
Second.
Discussion, item 12A, discussion, seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Item 12A, ordinance in second reading. Councilmember Ruano.
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia.
Yes.
Councilmember Collazo.
Yes.
Councilmember Morera.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fernandez.
Yes.
Mayor Sid.
Yes.
Ordinance in second reading passes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're on to 13A, resolutions.
A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Miami Lakes, Florida, approving the execution of contingency retainer contingency. Yeah, thank you.
But it does read contingent.
Yeah. I was like, yeah.
Now we know how to confuse
Yeah.
our town attorney.
It took me 1 second there to figure it out. Yeah. Contingency retainer agreement with the Yopis Wiesel Law Firm. Yopis Wiesel Law Firm, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for expenditure of funds, providing the town attorney with authority to offer a binding settlement offer, and providing for an effective date.
Any motion on the table?
I'll move it.
I'll second.
So I have a little bit of discussion, Mr. Attorney. I am in favor of Lopez, Wiesel, and their law firm working for the town. I've always voted for their contracts. I just believe this type of stuff, we should get more into the business of procuring it and at least putting out a solicitation. But I am in favor of them. I'm gonna vote no on the process, but I am in favor of them. They are a great law firm. They're great individuals. My objection is just on process.
Okay. I understand, but they know this case inside out,
which
better than anybody. Yeah, I understand.
So which was can you walk through the case one more time?
This is for the Pizzi matter, and what we're going to do, let me get a little closer here. This is it's not for the Pizzi matter. It is for a Pizzi-related matter. What happened was, just a brief run through, we had a contract with, I forgot what the name of the firm was. It was a lobbying firm. Fuentes.
Becker Polycop?
No, it was
no?
before them. Fuentes something. Fuentes Candia or Candia Fuentes. I think it was Fuentes Candia. And they did some sort of an agreement, and I think they started working for the Becker Polyakov firm. Becker Polyakov was then technically our lobbyist. Mr. Candia got caught up, or got himself caught up in an FBI sting for bribing public officials. He actually ends up pleading guilty to something along those lines. In the meantime, he approached our mayor at the time. Unfortunately,
No, please say that correctly. Former, because you said our mayor.
Oh, no.
Well, thank
Yes. Well, I did say our mayor at the time, but yes, former Mayor Pizzi, having nothing to do with Mayor Sid. He approaches him. One of former Mayor Pizzi's defenses was entrapment, meaning, and this takes us back to law school. I don't think any of us up here who do this, who are lawyers, do any criminal work, but entrapment is essentially a defense where you say, look, I did it, but I wouldn't have done it had it not been for everything that they did. In other words, they pushed me into it. I forget, at one point I thought I saw they contacted him, I don't know how many times, and things like that. Former Mayor Pizzi was not the only one who got indicted. Former Mayor Maronio, and I believe and Mr. Candy, I think, were indicted. You cannot, as the Becker and Polyakov firm, send someone into our organization to commit unlawful acts. And we believe that there is liability on behalf of the Becker Polyakov firm for the acts of Mr. Candia. I'm not going to get into all of the specifics, but we've paid out several $1 million because of this. It cost us all kinds of money in elections, headaches, legal battles, legal issues. And we believe that the Becker Poliakoff firm is responsible for this. We have entered into agreements with them, what we call tolling agreements, where the statute of limitations is tolled pending certain issues and things like that. Because remember, this goes all the way back to 2012 and 2013.
So bottom line, the one law firm that's most familiar with this case historically.
Yes. Sorry
is them.
to be so long-winded.
There's nobody else.
Yeah.
Even if we were to procure it, they're the only ones really that are familiar with
they're.
That's all. That's.
Hold on. No,
but it was just
thing.
yes or no. Like it's. I
The
understand
answer to that is yes, but it gets better. They are taking it on a contingency. They are not charging us hourly. It's contingency plus cost. We do have to pay them.
That's
their
fine.
costs.
I'm gonna vote. I'll vote
All
for
right.
it. I'll vote for it.
I just think you needed to know all that. Sorry for
Yes.
being so long-winded.
You asked for it, man.
No, but ask
You
yes or
can't
no,
ask a lawyer one question.
History of the case, man.
Council member 9. We got it. We're at 9 already. I say it in a nice way.
I thank you.
The only very brief comment I had was if you could explain it maybe to those either here or listening at home who don't know what a contingency agreement is, that this is not costing our taxpayers anything other than the bare minimum, the costs.
Filing fees, deposition transcripts,
Yeah,
et cetera.
which are a couple, at max, a couple $1,000.
No, more than that, but because there may be experts involved, but
Correct.
still, I believe,
The bulk, the
I
fees.
wholeheartedly recommend doing this.
Fine. Okay, sounds good.
Yep.
Madam Clerk, any other comments? If not, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
So this is item 13A, the retainer for the legal services, the contingency agreement. Councilmember Morera.
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia.
Yes.
Councilmember Collazo.
Yes.
Councilmember Ruano.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fernandez. Oh, he's absent, okay, and Mayor Sid.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're on to item 13B.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Dieguez has asked if we can please defer this item
That's
for the
fine.
following month.
We'll defer this item to the next council meeting. We're moving on to new business. I guess one of my items was left over from July. There's a time capsule that was put together by the original council that's going to be open next year. So every generation, things are very different. So I wanted to start the process for our committees, and we could maybe assign one of the committees to start doing a time capsule now, because the tradition is once there's one that's going to be open, there's one that needs to get put down. So I just wanted to at least bring it to people's attention. Staff can start talking to some of the committees. Maybe there's one committee that wants to really take it on. I thought it was a great idea, and especially knowing that I believe the one that's at the Butterfly Garden opens up next year. So at least we can do a dual ceremony where, obviously I won't be up here, but a dual ceremony where we're pulling one out of the ground and putting another one in with this age. So that was the gist of my item that got left over. So it just.
Mayor?
Yes.
Our resident historian,
Yeah.
Tony Lopez, Dr. Tony Lopez, believes that the one that is in place now doesn't get open until 2030.
You believe you believe or you know?
He said he buried it.
Yeah,
so-
but if you're an historian, you speak very.
To
not-
be clear,
not I
before
believe.
he even speaks, I can tell you, he said May 12th, 2030, and then he said a specific time at Royal Oaks Park. So it was not an estimate. It was very exact.
3 p.m.
3 p.m. There you go.
At some point, I just want to bring it up, start having that discussion with the committees. I mean, if not, it's not a big deal.
I was gonna do a recommendation since that one is over at Royal Oaks Park. I think that's a great generic town-wide time capsule. If you did want to do something like this, I believe in your item specifically mentioned the youth center. If you wanted to hand this over to the Youth Activities Task Force and make it the theme of the time capsule, our youth, our kids, have them contribute ideas of things to put in there, and make that one something for the kids, which then as possibly young adults, they'll get to be like, oh my God, I can't believe we put that in there as kids. You know, they'll reminisce on their young days.
So I'll second that. I'll second that. It's a great idea, actually. So Any further discussion on this? Any further discussion? Seeing none?
I
Councilman Cuadra.
did have one issue, and it's actually a salient point that Councilman Morera kind of touched upon earlier, and something that I've seen over the years. We actually have an artifact at the youth center that we really don't even have contact with the family anymore, right? And it's a stone that we've dedicated. And what I wanted to make sure was that none of these time capsules get forgotten, right? Kind of to the mayor's point. So if we can also know if there are any others, right, kind of buried out there or kind of placed along, and I plan to bring back another new business item to kind of see what we do with that stone at the youth center, which honors one individual, but we never really kind of continued that tradition. It was something that was set forth by the Civic Association many years ago, and it's kind of been left there, and we've tried to contact the family, but definitely just see if there's any others out there, and it would be a good practice just to make sure that we're keeping up with them, right?
No, that's a good idea. You know that there's one at Veterans Park, all the way at the southeast corner. And there was a gentleman who had moved into the town, and he was so enamored by it because it's the stone. It's a coral rock that has his grandfather's name on it. So no, you're right. There's many of those around town. So yeah, if we can incorporate that into the entire motion, Madam Clerk, I'm okay with that. I think that's a phenomenal idea because he's right. There's a lot of those historical markers around town that it would be cool to trace some of those folks back and hear their stories. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. We're on to item 14B. Councilman Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was approached by owners of some establishments on Main Street regarding our noise ordinance. They were receiving letters from our police department, following the rules, of course, that they were receiving complaints after a certain time. Now, what I would like to do is, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Manager, you said 11 p.m. is where music needs to be cut off.
Correct.
Okay. So in order to encourage the businesses in Main Street, which are thriving now with live music, and also our other shopping centers, I like to work with the town and of course the Grahams and the Major to move to change that to hours of operation. So then places like Cella and the Garrison and different places and different shopping centers can play music until hours of operations, which is, I believe, is the latest is 2 a.m.
And you're only talking about the town center?
Not just town center, any of our shopping centers.
Anywhere in the town?
Well, shopping centers,
okay,
where we allow restaurants to be open,
okay,
till 1 or 2 in the morning, and they play live music. I'm not suggesting this is done in any next to any homes or residents at all. There is another item regarding Airbnbs and noise and our that I will be discussing later on, but I would ask the council to change the rules to allow live music to be played in shopping centers around town till hours of operations, 2 a.m. So we make that change.
I'll second for discussion.
Councilman Morera, then
I have a question
then the
as
Vice
well.
Mayor, then Councilman Ruano.
I think Councilmember Garcia might have already answered a concern that I had, which was, I think that the way that it was phrased suggested that this was going to be limited to the town center zone, and my concern was there's other parts of our town that have these multi-use developments where there's commercial downstairs and residents upstairs, like the new South Point Towers that are going up on Commerce, like what we're gonna see at the golf course eventually, things like that. I do think that those areas would also benefit from something like this. And then the other main thing is that I do think that there should be a hard stop at 2 a.m. There shouldn't be, just by saying it as hours of operation, I don't want the businesses then making their hours of operations till 5 a.m. So I would put a hard stop somewhere.
And Councilmember, remember, I think what the objective is, and I don't want to speak for Councilmember Garcia, is for him to work with us and staff, develop what the changes would be, and we can incorporate, the thoughts, and then you'll see the ordinance, the revised code, the amendment to the code, the ordinance, changing it it'll be at some subsequent meeting, because we're gonna have to work through some things with the conflicts with the county ordinance and so forth. So we'll have to find a solution to that before we can bring it back. But at some point, it's gonna come back to you for approval as an ordinance amending the code.
Yeah, I'm just saving you a meeting.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, I was wanted to include other shopping centers and of course, someone who lives in Main Street, and when you move into an area where you have residential on top of shopping, you are told, you know, on certain terms, you're moving into an open mall pretty much. There's going to be events, there's going to be music, it's going to be loud. Are you okay with that before you move in? And it's in the lease as well. So the residents who move into these areas know that there is going to be live music and there's going to be events. But again, I want to work with the town and everybody involved to make sure that we're encouraging our shopping centers that are starting to thrive now, and not discourage them with the current time that they have to shut down the music. Thank you so much.
Councilwoman Ruano.
Thank you. So my question, I guess, would be perhaps to the police major? Trying to figure out who can answer my question. Some of these noise complaints that we receive, it's directly from the individuals that live in the adjacent, I guess, apartment units and things of that nature with regards to these restaurants?
Yeah, the majority of the complaints that we received are in the Main Street area, 6th, 7th Avenue. 'Cause you got, you know, the Ale House, you have the Cellas, they do play music outside. And obviously you have the other ones that are on Main Street. So we're either receiving it from residents that live upstairs or residents that the noise does travel at night, either in these apartments to get here from here, or any of the surrounding areas.
Okay, so I have mixed feelings about this because I also want individuals that live here to be able to, you know, enjoy their dwelling and enjoy, you know, some people have young children. 2 a.m. is a pretty late time frame for, you know, live music or loud music to be outside. I wouldn't have an issue with, you know, music inside restaurants. I'm not opposed to having staff take a look at it, but I just wanted to put my thoughts on the record because, you know, we do want our businesses to thrive, but we're also, you know, a small community where there's a lot of young families with young children, and having the music blaring at 2 a.m. when your baby's trying to sleep is you know, something that I have a hard time with. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And if I may, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Along Councilwoman Serrano's point, I kind of fear the same. I did hear the word live music thrown in there. Is this only live music? Like? No,
I said live music or outside.
Right. No. But I think Councilwoman.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Well, any music that can be heard, right? You know, right now they have to shut down or the complaints. The officers are obligated to follow our rules and lodge and show them complaints or give them complaints. So right now it's about, I think it's 11. And again, any type of music. And again, I think that our working with the vendors, they understand they're not going to have, you know, live concert going on at 2 in the morning, and they've been pretty good about, you know, lowering the music toward the 2 in the morning. But this was complaints done inside. For example, inside the Garrison, that they shut their doors, and you really can't hear it unless you open the door. So the complaints were coming from the upstairs neighbors, right? I myself live over a gym that starts playing, you know, dance music at 5 a.m. But again, I was warned, I was told, hey, might be a possibility, and I still decided to move there. So I understand we have to be take everybody into consideration.
Right.
But what I don't want to do is shut it down at 11 o'clock and for our businesses who have invested millions of dollars, you know, because they were told they can play music till hours of operation, their hours of operation.
I definitely agree. I just wanted to kind of put a couple things on your radar as you work through the item with staff. One, I am kind of a little bit more lenient if we're talking about live music. I think, you know, the potential abuses of live music are different than music blaring out of speakers. I think that is a lot easier to go sideways. The other point is not every day of the week is the same, right? So maybe longer hours on non-school nights should be a consideration in that. Right?
So real quick, I have in my office several interns, and one of them who monitors the council meeting, actually wanted to speak on this item, so if everybody would be okay, saying a few comments.
I'll move to reopen public comments.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes.
Hello, council members. Yes, so I wanted to say I agree with Marilyn Ruano on this subject because I do have a little sister and she does go to school, and I agree that live music should be stopped, maybe like not 2 a.m. since there's school the following day, so kids, need their adequate sleep time so they can do well at school and be educated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I do have some comments, and it's
Councilman Cuellar.
Thank you. It's along to the line that the intern just spoke about. While you're being approached by all the businesses, we really haven't heard from the homeowners, right? And I think if you ask the homeowners, hey, we're going to play loud music here till 2 a.m. potentially, right? You probably hear a resounding no, right? And I think that's kind of the balancing act here. I'm not supportive of the item. I remember the rendezvous days, right? And the heartburn that created here when we started trying to become more nightlife centric, right? The hooligans, back in the day as well, right? Nightlife centric to the point where we were driving people, right? Alibi, the old Delaney Street people, we're a bedroom community, right? And as the last Publix comment just wrote, you have a little sister going to sleep, right? So while I'm all for supporting the nightlife, I think we should do it in a more measured approach. I think just a blanket 2 a.m. Is irresponsible. I mean, if you're playing music and I'm in one of those apartments till 2 a.m., my kid has to go to sleep and they can't, I'm going to be the one calling the police, There is a reason they're being called, and it's because it's disturbing people, right? And it's disturbing people at a time that they usually sleep. And I can sympathize with you. I think you said, you're trying to sleep at 5 a.m. maybe. I don't know what your schedule is, but you might be sleeping at 5 a.m. and you're awoken to this. I think 2 a.m. is just too aggressive, right? And you've seen this as residential communities. Brickell, right? Club Space, right? Having major modifications to their establishment, right? Because all of a sudden there's residences around. So I don't like it, and maybe I'm just too old, right? And maybe it's just something that maybe you haven't heard, right? What I hate to do is you change this ordinance, 2 a.m., and then you have to walk it back, right? And then you're disappointing. You already got the residents upset at you, and now you're getting the business community upset at you. If there's a way maybe we can look at this, maybe in a more measured approach. But right now, as it sits, I do not feel comfortable standing. I don't want my name saying, hey, we're encouraging people to stay open until 2 a.m. That's not something that I would be supportive, especially being that this is not being brought up by the residents. It's really by the business community. And I want to do the same thing to support them. But I'm just going to speak on their behalf of those people, just like you. And thank you for speaking up, right? That maybe have small children. So I'm not going to support it right now. Maybe I can support it in the future, but it's not something that I think is something I can support at this time. Thank you.
Through the mayor, if I may. Major, by any chance, I know I'm kind of cold calling and you don't have any data in front of you, but off the top of your head, what time do these calls start coming in?
After 11.
Pretty much right on the 11 o'clock
right
mark?
when the ordinance goes into effect in the music or any sound. It's just loud. I mean, you could have music as long as it's not audible or disturbing others, right? So you could be playing jazz music at your house at 3 in the morning at a nice tone.
Yeah,
you're not bothering anybody. But they could lower the music maybe to a certain where it's not audible from so many feet or something like that. So you're not disturbing others from a distance. That could be something.
What I would recommend to the staff is to work with the major on getting the data on these calls split up by time blocks, as well as by days of the week. Because I think a reasonable compromise here is to potentially leave it as is for school nights and things of that nature, where we don't want to disturb her little sister, but then allow our businesses to thrive on these weekend nights where they're likely going to be encountering the most amount of business regardless. So I think that might be a reasonable compromise, and I think we can work with the major to get that data.
No problem. No, I agree with all the comments tonight, and I've actually gotten emails from residents who live in some of these buildings. I think the idea you brought up was, I think it was good. I don't know, I missed it because I was walking. I went to the restroom real quick. You said that the Grams have it in the leases, that it states that the businesses will be.
Yeah, I mean, when you move in, you're told, and you're also, it's, you know, it's put in the lease that there, you know, there are events happening and things like that that are gonna happen, through that. So, absolutely, and it's all here. We wanna work with the shopping centers, with the residents, everybody to find a compromise, to be able to, you know, everybody live comfortably and businesses thrive, but also our residents to also, you know, feel that they're being heard and they're not being disturbed, especially on school nights. So I totally understand that.
So along the lines of what Councilman Morera said, I'd be okay with moving this forward if you work it, okay? Similar to what you did with the security issue on Main Street. Sure. So that's why I'd give you kudos, because you actually worked it. You went to the meetings, you organized the meetings, you were there, and now you got the grams to participate. And so I'd be happy along the lines with what Councilman Morera said, to move this forward, but not in this blanket matter, and but doing the work, bringing everybody together, having those conversations with Ann Little, the Grams, business owners, community, because I think it's important.
Yep.
But I definitely think there needs to be a balance, similar to what Councilman Morera said on the record. So I'm fine with it. Do you want to restate your motion, or is it the same motion, or what? Madam Clerk, can you restate the motion?
It's not the same motion, because if I got this correct, Councilmember Garcia's motion was to work with staff to amend the noise ordinance for music to be played till 2 a.m. only in shopping centers, not in residential areas. But what I understood from the friendly amendment from Councilmember Morera is really to work with staff to move forward, to get information from Major, and to see the statistics, and perhaps, I think you stated, on weekends, maybe extend the hours, but not during school nights, but to work with Mayor and to work with staff. So it's a little bit different. The amendment is to move forward and work, but not setting a time and depending on some information.
I'll move my amendment.
I'll second the amendment.
Councilman Garcia, anything else, or?
No, absolutely. And I think it's stated here clearly, we're going to work with all parties involved, especially the residents, to come up with a solution that works for everybody.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
There's one no vote. Madam Clerk.
And again, the roll call was for the amendment. So all in favor with Councilmember Collazo as a no?
Yep.
Okay, so the amendment passes
Yeah, the amendment took
to the main
precedent.
motion.
Yep, took precedent of the main motion. All right, we're not taking up the next item. That's going to get rolled over to the next council meeting, correct?
Councilman Dieguez has asked me if I could present the item, because it is time sensitive.
Okay.
Right.
Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. So the item is kind of straightforward. There's several amendments that are being presented this year in the November ballot. One of them is Amendment 5. Amendment 5 is basically right now persons that have homestead have a cap of $25,000, and I think it can get up to $50,000, husband and wife, or for different exemptions, right, for homestead, and that's deducted off the homestead cap. And if I'm saying something wrong, Mr. Estesi, tell me, with regards to homestead, please. What this amendment does, though, is that as time goes by and there are inflationary pressures, it makes sure that homestead cap grows or increases with inflation. This is really beneficial, especially to our seniors and those that are living on fixed income or fixed retirement, to make sure that as their income doesn't go up, and their expenses do go up, they're not affected by the fact that this homestead, their taxes are going to continue increasing as their property values increase, at least at a cap of 3% a year, the way that the statute is stated right now. But their homestead exemption does not. So this is going to allow that homestead exemption to grow as inflation increases.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the
I'll
table?
move the item.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. We're on to the next item, which is my item. After a conversation, I ran into the property appraiser, and I know the council voted to keep the millage flat. We're not going to take a vote today on the millage. We're going to go into the budget workshop already with the millage that you all set. But the property appraiser had told me, he goes, look, Manny, it's an important exercise to talk about your homesteaded properties, doing a 3% cut will insulate your homesteaded residents who create major stability in your community from a lot of these tax increases that are coming down the pike. I did the math. It's about $289,000 that staff will have to find. So what I would like to see at the budget workshop is the council is going to present, the staff's going to present a budget with a flat millage, but I also would like to see that an option also of what the 289,000 cut would look like as well. So it would be a secondary option during that budget workshop for discussion. I told the property appraiser that I would bring it up, and he felt that it was very important for us to have that conversation. And when I saw the number, 289,000, it was definitely doable, but I do respect the council. You all had already set the millage, but I would like to see that at least the conversation had at the budget workshop as an option as well as to what staff would recommend to reach that $289,000. So my motion is for staff to bring this as an option at our budget workshop.
I will second for discussion only to
Vice
make the point and clarify that what we passed was the cap for the millage, but there was discussion about some sort of reduced millage, and that was very much part of the conversation. I know it was on my behalf. So yes, I'm definitely open to looking at this.
Discussion, council.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman Ron.
Thank you. So along the lines of the Vice Mayor's comments, we did set the cap, and I believe that we all committed to bringing that number down. So I agree with the property appraiser. I think that the residents need relief. All of the taxing authorities are raising taxes at the same time in this moment of an overburdensome inflationary situation. But this council did commit to doing exactly what you're requesting. So we will be doing that at the budget workshops.
No further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
There's one no vote, Madam Clerk. The motion passes. We're moving on to the next item, 14E. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hold on, sorry. This item is definitely to stand in support with the people of Venezuela. Obviously, we've all seen through the news for lack of a better word, the theft of an election that has gone on there. It is particularly insulting and enraging to all of us. Our entire council. We have all, come from states where elections are a sham, and this is just another example of what these regimes do, which is anything to maintain their grip on power. So essentially the resolution that you have before you is also in support of Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart's and Debbie Wasserman Schultz's joint resolution before Congress recognizing Edmundo as the legitimate president of Venezuela, as well as doing several other things, including demanding the return and the immediate release of political prisoners in Venezuela, which is a cause very near and dear to my heart. I ask that you all support this, and I ask that our support be unwavering and unanimous. Thank you.
I'll second.
Discussion. Seeing none.
Vice Mayor, I just wanted to put for the record, because I didn't state it earlier, that in this item, I received an email, a written public comment from Mr. Rudy Blanco in support of this item of Vice Mayor Fernandez. He just kindly requests all of you to vote in favor of it, and he thanks the town and council member Fernandez for formulating this resolution. So he's totally in support.
Kudos to Rudy. He's one of Maria Corina Machado's attorneys here in the United States. Really cool to have a resident who's doing something of that caliber. Thank you for bringing this up. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. I'll make a motion on the next item to waive the rule of 7.2 for item 14F.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. Item 14F, Councilman Garcia.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is in the same vein of noise ordinance. Our residents have been suffering for years due to the abuse of certain short-term rental owners who refuse to self-police their tenants from throwing loud and disruptive parties almost every weekend. It is time we stop the abuse of Miami Lakers who only desire to live peaceful lives with their families at home. I asked the council to work with our major and to create a detail. Well, before I get into the detail, I want to maybe ask the town attorney to come up. There was a measure in Tallahassee that failed, right? That if you can discuss that really quick about.
But real fast, can you make a
Yeah.
motion to some effect so then that way we get in the proper posture?
Okay, so the motion is that I ask the town and the staff to work together with our police department to be able to police, especially the repeat offenders, and do everything we can to make sure that they're following the established noise ordinance for residents, and to do everything in our power to make sure that they are paying the proper fines, that they are held responsible legally, financially, so then they put pressure on to stop, doing, having these same houses have these bad actors every weekend throw these parties. So anything we can do to push the owners to be a little more, neighborly and take care of their neighbors, and not allow this to happen.
There's a second by Councilman Morera. I know you had a question of.
Madam Clerk, can you repeat the motion?
No. She's typing.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
She's still writing it down.
Okay, so.
No. You could ask a question.
Yeah.
Councilmember Garcia, I think I understand.
Review the law that that they were trying to pass that did not pass, and what it means to us when it comes to being able to police these bad actors.
Sure. As your deputy town attorney, the state, every time that it gets a chance, it cuts into our ability to be able to regulate different things. It's called preemption. We all know that. In the realm of short-term rentals, however, the governor has felt and has stated that he feels that some of it should be really regulated by the local governments. It's kind of an about-face in a sense. There's still a lot of regulation. There's still a lot of preemption. We do have an ordinance in place. The problem with that ordinance in place is that because of all the moving parts, we have not really been able to fully enforce it. And at the beginning of this legislative session, we really believe that even our ability to register some of these properties was going to be taken away. That's not the case. So I believe that we can move forward and work the staff and the police department and legal in formulating a better way to be able to, with the law now that is in place, and we know that, and it seems like that's really going to be the law of the land, per se, how we can really regulate short-term rentals in the town.
So that being said, I'd like to amend the motion to include being able to register these short-term rentals. And then once we know, the short-term rentals, establish a detail, for quality, we call it the quality of life detail, to make sure that we don't take officers off the street for something different, to have the officers make sure that they're making sure that these repeat offenders are not, continuing to do this and destroying the quality of life of our residents, and to the full effect of the law, whatever they can do to make sure they stop this. So I would like to add that to the motion.
Sure. I mean, we already have the registration process in the ordinance. It's more of the mechanics, and that we'll work with, and also with our police department to get that done.
So we'll roll that into that motion.
Very quick question.
Councilman.
While I know that I believe we're currently preempted from fining for things we don't like having constant parties at these Airbnbs, etc. Are we preempted from fining for failure to register?
Yes.
That makes no
and I'd have to get to you exactly the mechanism, but the state does allow us to require registration of these properties. And failure to register does have a fine process right now in our code. The question becomes how to identify these as non-registrants and then be able to enforce the code and requiring them to come in. That's one way, but how do you then map out and provide those mechanisms for I understand, yes. But it's being able to identify them so that code can do its job and be able to have a uniform system.
No, I understand.
But that's something we can come back to you.
Well, but the main reason I bring it up is because if we're almost limited into all we can do is create a registration and a database, then that leaves us with simple enforcement of our code, like our noise ordinance as it exists, for example. But as any police officer will tell you, they go on details because they know where crime is going to be. We also know, we have a presumption of where violations are going to be. We know that houses that are typically Airbnbs, and not all of them, frankly, many of them are just simple people that needed somewhere to stay. But we know which ones are the problem houses, right? And we can identify them, and a simple patrol of either our police force or our code enforcement department can target to root out the problem. And you're not targeting the Airbnb, you're targeting the problem, which is the noise violation. I know another huge concern of our residents is that they stack up a lot more garbage than the average household, which then causes bad odors, attracts pests. So let's look into that as well as to how we can wiggle our way around, essentially, to give our residents the safety and the comfort that they want, while at the same time complying with state law.
So if I may, right? So and I believe Councilman Garcia was not on the council at the time. So I passed 2.5 years ago, roughly, a rather comprehensive ordinance to deal with Airbnbs because of the ongoing threat of preemption. None of that was implemented, right? Because it would be a fool's errand to implement something that's under direct threat of preemption. Now that the dust has settled, I would be more than willing and happy, since we have not implemented it yet. Maybe we can do a sunshine meeting. I would love to sit down with both of you and go over the ordinance in detail, just to make sure that, there may be some tweaks we want to do before it goes, but to give you guys an opportunity to review it as well and opine and give your input before we roll it out.
Yeah, Vice Mayor, whenever you go to schedule that, it'd be important to include both police and code enforcement, because they're going to be the enforcement arms to make this happen. So it's important to get the enforcers' input in the development if there's going to be any tweaks to the ordinance, please.
Absolutely, and of course I would want Deputy Town Attorney there as well.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes.
Mayor, point of quick personal privilege. There's a gentleman in our audience tonight that we might not recognize. I went and spoke to him very briefly. His name is Stanley, and I really wanted to recognize him because he actually informed me that he moved into our town only 2 weeks ago. And I just think it should be applauded that someone moves into a town and immediately becomes involved.
Oh, you're gonna get put on the spot. You got to come up and tell us why you moved to Miami Lakes.
Welcome to Miami Lakes.
Now you got to let it. Yeah, come
on up.
Now you got to let us know. That's awesome. Welcome,
and I think
welcome.
this feeds into your next item, by the way.
Yeah.
Stanley, at the bottom, at the base of the mic, there's a little button. Is it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah. He's got a loud, deep voice. Were you the Raiders or the Jets? Because those.
Sir, I wanted to do an invitation on behalf, if you allow me, Mayor and council members. We have an excellent committee called Sports Hall of Fame. We need individuals like you. Get involved in the town.
Yes, ma'am, I would be honored.
Committees, just after we heard your testament.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Welcome to Miami Lakes. God bless.
Welcome.
Thank you for your service.
All right, there you go.
Appreciate you.
And thank you, Mayor.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Morera. Item 14G, I wanted to bring this up. I had somebody who recently was driving through the town, saw Town Hall, went to Veterans Park, and they were almost in tears, and they said, man, Miami Lakes has to be the most patriotic city in the Florida, at least. And I never thought about that. And I was like, Miami Lakes, our Veterans Committee does so much that by far we have to be up there in the United States. And I looked it up. I said, you know what, let me Google it. And I Googled it, and I saw there actually is a group that designates the most patriotic city in the nation. And I actually looked at some of one of the cities that was nominated nowhere near to what our Veterans Committee does, nor the history. So just want to bring it up for staff to work with our Veterans Committee to apply for this prestigious designation. That's my motion.
Second.
Discussion on this? Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. Item 14H.
All right, Mr. Mayor, thank you. So this item that I bring before you is based on feedback that I've gotten from a lot of residents, right? So a lot of residents, as we all know, we love our Miami Lakes tree canopy, right? But sometimes our tree canopy gets a little bit too close to our homes, too close to our cars, and needs our attention in trimming these trees and making sure that they don't pose any hazards to people's property, right? So I get the sense, and it's a lot of questions, and there's a lot of uncertainty in the process about how often the town comes through these different areas, when the next time the town is scheduled to come through this area. And I think ultimately it may actually save us money to create a more transparent system, so that residents know, hey, wait a second, you know, my area, my block, my district is due to be trimmed in 6 months. Yeah, the tree's a little overgrown, but you know, in 6 months that would be fine, rather than, you know, having to put in a request manually for service, right? So I think it's a win-win for everybody. What I would like, and so it's a dual purpose item. What I would also like to see as part of, you know, making that process a little bit more transparent is for those people that do request tree trimming services to start moving into more technologically advanced ways of dealing with our customers, right? So that the town's residents are essentially our customers. So a customer relationship management system that keeps residents updated throughout the process, right? So a lot of staff, and I spoke to staff earlier, I get the sense that a lot of staff time is wasted on emailing information back and forth, you know, submitting work orders manually, and then updating and going back, you know, to the residents and providing status updates manually. Whereas if all of this information was inputted into a CRM, we would be able to reduce staff time doing some of these more menial tasks, get them to focus on more important tasks, and keep our residents up to date, and ultimately provide a more accountable level of service. So essentially, my item to reframe that so that that's not the motion is to direct the town manager and staff to come back with ways of improving the tree trimming request for service process and make it a more advanced and friendly process for our residents. Thank you.
Second.
Discussion on this, council?
To the mayor. Quick question on Miami Lakes Connect. Is that capability able to be added to, I mean, you have pretty much everything from trash pickup to lost pets to...
Yeah, on C-Click Fix, the request is in there, but we'll Jeremy and his group will work with Germán and the IT group, and they'll confer with you, and if you don't mind, we'll tap into your IT expertise, and we'll, now that you've volunteered this, we're going to use you, and then we'll bounce it off before we bring it back and develop a final product.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, it could be C-Click Fix. It could be some of the for some of these processes, it could be the software that the building department uses that tracks, multi-step processes. So yeah, I'm more than willing to volunteer my professional
I'll probably coordinate a kickoff meeting just so they have a good understanding, hear it from the horse's mouth exactly what you envision, and see, and then they can work together and then periodically touch base with you.
I take no offense to you calling me your horse, sir. Thank you.
So I'll give you an example where it'll definitely work. I get these all the time. I got one last night, forwarded to Ed and Tony. The process of stuff, right? They then forward it to Jeremy. Jeremy forwards it to the staff. They make contact. They get back to Jeremy. They got to send it back over here, back over there. You know what I mean? There's no. It would be easier if you just direct the resident in one direction. So no, I agree, and it'll be, I think, for everybody involved, because there's so many. Just that one alone, there were 7 people going back and forth. You know.
Right. And the idea would be to look at this for trees, but once that ecosystem is built out, then we can grow it. We just got to start somewhere.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. My next item, wanted to pass a resolution just preserving the Mayor's Gala for our Special Needs Advisory Board. I know we've never done this. I don't believe it's in the Special Needs Advisory Board's main resolution. It could be. I did not double check, but from what I remember, was not in there. So I want to pass something that the moment that myself, Councilman Ruano, Councilman Collazo, we leave and priorities change, that it doesn't fall to the wayside, because it did happen in the past. There was originally a Special Needs Advisory Board. It went defunct. It came back now. They're doing amazing. They're doing an incredible job, but their main funding source is hosting a yearly gala. So just want to pass a resolution to that extent to make sure that it gets memorialized long-term for the benefit of our special needs families.
I will second. My only concern in my briefing is, how much teeth does a resolution have and how permanent is this, right? So I'd like to offer a friendly amendment to give the deputy town attorney an opportunity to come back with other options, or maybe not a resolution, that are maybe more permanent.
That's fine. We'll roll it into the main motion. That's good. Any discussion?
Yeah, very briefly. In general, I obviously love the Mayor's Gala, and I love the work of the Special Needs Advisory Board. My only concern is, again, when we start throwing out the words permanent and things of that nature, needs and priorities can change. The theme of the day can change over time, especially when you're using the word permanent. The Special Needs Advisory Board is a need, absolutely. It needs to be funded, and I agree with continuing it for now. That I can envision a future where maybe the future mayor wants to have the Mayor's Gala go and benefit the Veterans Committee. I can see that happening. So I just think that, and again, let's also be clear, for as far as the mayor's concerned, the mayor does this as a voluntary event. He doesn't charge for this. It's not part of his mayoral duties. At the moment we do this, that's now a mayoral duty. So it's a little different. That's my one concern. Overall, I have nothing against the event, against it going to the special needs. It's just restricting the mayors in the future with what we think today that concerns me. How often do we look back and kick ourselves over the decisions that prior councils made?
I think Councilman Morera brings up an excellent point. It was kind of to my, I wholeheartedly support, the gala. I've attended the gala, buy tickets for the gala. And I think it's one of those events that it's been championed by the mayor. But, all of a sudden, a different mayor wants to take a different path, right? Or we're fully funding the committee, right? I don't want to make sure that, they also have the alternative to maybe fund something else, right? So I completely support it, memorialize it. I think both candidates that are running for mayor have already committed to that. But all of a sudden we get $1 million endowment to that committee and we don't need to fund it anymore. I'd hate to say, well, the funding can only go to that group, right? And I think that's really the point that you're making. We're fully funding the work that the committee. How about if all of a sudden we triple, right? Under the new mayor, they're great fundraisers. They've gotten commitments, but the commitments come with maybe honoring other causes, right? And I want to make sure that we're not tying their hands. So if it can be, right, something that is more binding, because I know maybe the two mayors have already pledged their commitment. One of them is going to come out as mayor, right? So they've already pledged their commitment. Well, third person, I'm sorry, yeah. But what I'm saying is there might be an opportunity to fund other things as well, and I want to make sure that we're not just limiting it to the mayor's, to that particular group.
Got it. Thank you. Councilwoman Ron.
So I applaud you for bringing this item up, because I can understand how your tenure is coming to an end and you're concerned about how this very important committee is going to continue to be funded. And I share that concern as well. Is there anything that we can do to establish, I guess, a permit for an annual gala for the Special Needs Advisory Board? Instead of attaching it to the mayor's gala or to the mayoral seat per se, can we make it more about the committee and about the I guess, the objective versus the mayor, so we don't have to worry about a future mayor coming in and perhaps wanting to go in a different direction? There would still always be a special needs gala. And if the future mayor wants to call it the mayor's gala, I love that idea, because it gives it a level of sophistication that just sounds really pretty on the invitation. So if they still want to call it the mayor's gala, they can, but that the committee will always have an open door to host that yearly gala if they need the funding.
That is a great
Maybe we can go in that direction.
Yeah, I'm fine. I think all the recommendations get rolled into one, and I think the deputy attorney is going to work on it. And based on, I know the clerk's writing all those notes down. She'll provide in the minutes to the attorney, then he'll bring it back to the council with the options that we talked about. So that's fine. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Seeing none, the motion passes. Last new business item, status of street lighting review.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will try to be brief with this one. Essentially, we recently completed 2 street lighting projects, which are the first 2 street lighting projects and the only 2 street lighting projects that have happened in my tenure here on the dais. And I'm really curious to see what the lessons learned were, because I'm definitely interested in doing more of these in the future. But I want to take a deep dive. I understand that there were some delays in the implementation. The poles were up for an extended period of time before they were able to be energized. And I think there's probably a whole host of things that can be learned from that process, and perhaps ways to mitigate some of those shortfalls in the future. So I wanted to instruct staff to kind of take a deep breath and do a thorough post-mortem over those 2 projects and come up with our own internal best practices for how to roll these projects out in the future. That is my motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Seeing no comments. All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right. We are on to monthly infrastructure report. Director Santos.
I'm back. All right, so as usual, I'll highlight some of the projects. If there's anything that you want me to highlight, please ask me at the end or pause me. Streetlight improvement project, we did energize those last week. There's a few lights that we're currently working on that looks like they may have been damaged during the gas line installation. So that's something we're working on with the vendor. But most of the feedback has been positive from the residents that we're waiting for the additional illumination on their streets. 146th Street, or Green 2.0, we're in pre-construction activities, about to establish the start of construction date. We already met with FDOT and the contractor and the inspection team to get this going. Royal Oaks First Edition drainage improvement. In this one, we're just wrapping up some pavement repairs that have to be done by the 168th Street guardhouse. And once we complete that, we'll get the loops installed and close out the project. So that's that project. Commerce Way, we had initially scheduled final pavement to be done earlier because of weather and some scheduling delays. It's tentatively for tomorrow night. This will be a full-time night operation with the expectation that the lanes will be open during the daytime. Yeah. Loch Lomond drainage improvement, that was just awarded today, so we will start pre-construction activities within the next 3 weeks.
Sorry, the Commerce Way, what are the time frames? From what time to what time are they?
10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Okay, thank you.
The Roberto Alonso, I briefly mentioned this in the last meeting, but
Real fast, so Omar.
oh, sorry.
Loch Lomond, is that pretty much we're heading to the final group of projects for that stormwater bond, that whole $30 million program?
Not the 30, but the original 18, which is the Series 2021. Yes, we're heading towards the finish line, and we have about another, I think, 13 in ARPA, but we got the next round of projects coming up very soon. Our goal is by the next 2 council meetings, we're going to have all that awarded.
Yeah, most of that is already designed, so it's just a matter of awarding. Once the construction projects start coming before you, the money's going to dwindle real fast.
We have 2 in bid right now. We're about 2 to 3 more coming, depending on the pricing for the ones that are coming in.
No, the faster you get them through that bid process, the better, because we're heading out of rainy season. So then that way,
yes,
that way we can hit the ground running before the summer comes again, and and you guys get them out of the way. Okay.
All right, so Roberto Alonso HVAC, we're expecting delivery mid-September, and we'll be installing that unit and have that up and running hopefully by the end of September. There's some new business items that I want to bring Director Bosch on, and well, if they want to come. We have the guardhouse paver enhancement request brought up by Mayor Sid. So in front of you, the table, we developed two estimates. One is to do pavers similar to the aesthetics of the crosswalks we have along Miami Lakeway South. These are concrete pavers, and the area that will be covered with these is essentially, if you look at the guardhouse, they have curbing on each end. Yeah. And then the second option is the stamped asphalt. It gives you a similar aesthetics, but it's
Omar, when you say stamped asphalt, is that really stamped concrete?
Nope.
It's asphalt?
It's asphalt.
Colored?
Yeah, they heat it up, they stamp it, and they paint it.
Cool.
Who put these estimates together?
We did. These are based on pricing we have for The pavers is what, the pricing we use in the crosswalks of Miami Lakeway South.
That's it. So ta carito. Okay, no, thanks for the report.
Another option is to reduce the area that
I mean, I remember when we did Miami Lakeway South, when we were doing the drainage projects there, we mobilized, we did the crosswalks, the smaller ones there. Man, I'm gonna be honest, it was nowhere near even the cost.
Yeah, but these are much larger areas.
No, I know.
We can play with the area and.
Yeah, no, it's just, I don't think that's something that a council will ever wanna move forward. I don't even know if that'll even get entertained. No, it could get rolled into the beautification master plan, like what we did in Miami Lakeway South. Those were but the conversation we had wasn't necessarily to charge them, was to have an open conversation, see what the cost is, and if it was feasible, that could even be something that could get rolled into a global a beautification master plan. So just say the staff identifies.
My recommendation to see just the price per square foot, right, globally, to see where we can install these features, but it looks like we targeted specifically these pockets, right, of areas. My recommendation is to see if you can get a square footage rate, and see what areas of town would benefit from that. I remember that from the discussion.
But particularly, those are one of the ones that pops out, because those naturally.
You remember that from the discussion?
Naturally, entrances like that, similar to Satori, they tend to look very nice, right? So, and that's why we did the one on 154, right when you get off the Palmetto. That's why we did a bunch of. I was really upset when we didn't do it east of 67th Avenue, right? When we mobilized a lot of those roads, when we redid 67th, and we redid some of those drainage projects, that was removed from. And the cost wasn't, back then, because of mobilization, it wasn't that much, but with this.
We did several of the east through the Safe Routes to School project.
Smaller ones, yeah.
Right, and the reason that I made those comments was I just didn't want to give the perception, right, to the residents that we were digging into this particular pot of money and looking at just those areas, right? I wanted to see globally where there are other places, because we have installed them as traffic calming devices throughout town, right? We've actually even used them in some areas to kind of differentiate different types of surfaces, right?
But these are not traffic calming, I think
No,
it's
I
more
know.
of aesthetics.
Yeah, but they're pavers, right?
These are pavers.
Right, so pavers, when you drive over them, right, sometimes they create a different vibration, right? So you can actually slow traffic down. You can do different things with different surfaces, different roadway surfaces, right? So that was my only point, was to look at it globally, right? Not just particular at those particular points where the neighborhood service districts are. But I saw that none of those were included. And I remember clearly adding that to the discussion, but that's okay.
At the top, we do have the cost per square yard. So.
Right.
Yeah. So we just use those locations as a totals examples.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is the Adopt a Road / Park program presented by Councilmember Garcia. So the town currently has an active Adopt a Road program that was established via resolution 03-127 in April 8th of 2003. What we propose is to amend that existing program via a resolution to include town parks and polish it up a little bit more, and we'll present that to this body for consideration. Okay.
Thank you.
And the last one is the Wall of Heroes, presented by Mayor Sid. So with the help of our communications department, we reviewed potential areas within the town government center. And the wall we saw across the back door exit desk that's next to the police station has quite a bit of square footage, and we're proposing to have the installation take place there. The aesthetics, that's to be determined, but that's, as far as the location, that was the main thing that we wanted to bring before this body.
Got it. Okay.
All right.
But the aesthetics, that's still not ready, like a conceptual.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yeah, so what we had looked at is a perpetual plaque with a very nice logo at the very top, Wall of Heroes, where we can add the names of those retiring officers or anybody that would deem appropriate to honor here. I can share the image with the manager so he can share, but kind of how you see in businesses where it's employee of the year, employee of the month, and then the brass name is engraved onto the calendar. The plaque.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Director Santos.
Good evening. Jose Gonzalez, your town commander with the police report. Proud to report that for the month of July, we did not have any robberies, no residential burglaries. We only have 2 thefts in the whole town. And we have a year-to-date reduction of, for the month of July, we had a reduction of 40% in auto theft. And year-to-date vehicle burglary reduction of 44%. So I think the guys have been doing a great job with the high visibility. We continue with the high visibility enforcement for the burglaries and for the traffic enforcement. We even have them out now on unmarked cars, so you might see unmarked cars stopping, doing they're in uniform, but we have an unmarked looking police car, but it's around doing a lot of traffic enforcement. We are now prepping for school. It starts on Thursday, so we're already ready for our details. Our officer will be back on 154th Street. However, I was talking to Omar, I think the light at 7-9 Court might be going up pretty soon online. It's already up. It's out. I just think they probably would just have to get the timing worked out, and I think they just have to finish the crosswalks that are going to go into the place there. There's going to be a crosswalk on the east and the west side of 7-9 Court. So now if you come from La Quinta or from the businesses there and they want to go to Einstein's, it's going to be a safer passage of walk for the residents and the business people there. And that's about it. Any questions?
Real quick through the chair. Do you know that our local schools, are they emailing parents do's and don'ts about first day? I know that you've worked with them about where to park or not to park to avoid issues, just to give them a heads up. Hey, school's starting again. Just also Miami Lakers, maybe our communications department. Hey, school's starting again. Make sure you leave a little earlier for work, or just so we avoid the issue. You know, first day is always going to be crazy.
Right.
First week actually, but any things they can send out, working with the schools. To
the schools do. We meet with the schools. As a matter of fact, we have a meeting with them tomorrow, especially the K through 8. That's the school we always had the more challenges with the parking and traffic.
Yeah.
The Bob Graham on 7-9 Avenue. But they do put out, with our guidance, notice. They put up an email in Spanish and English to all the parents ahead of time to let them know. They even have a map of the school or where the parking is, where the pickup areas is, a little guide. And the do's and don'ts and the time that the gates open in the afternoon. So it's very detailed and instructional. And then obviously we're there to guide them also on site.
Sure. Is there any way maybe the town could do something? Maybe take that information, put it on our social media as well, just to some parents are not going to get those emails or read those emails. They might go to spam. Just another reminder that school's coming and these are the rules, and if everybody works together, it'll be better for the kids. Just the more information that gets out there, the more they're reminded, the more they'll listen and follow the rules. Make it easier for you and the kids.
Sure.
I know, but we need to keep doing our due diligence to make sure that we're getting the information out there.
Sure.
If they don't look at it, well, okay, that's on them. Thank you.
Okay.
One quick question, and maybe Omar could answer this, but do we know a closer estimate to when that light at, 79? The one in front of Einstein is supposed to turn on and go active? How close to start of the school year is it? Because that's two, for lack of a better term, traumatic events for drivers. A new light and the school year starting.
So last week I reached out to the project manager from the county, and their goal is to have it before the first day of school.
Okay.
I drove by today, and
Yeah,
there's
it's
still
too-
some work to be done, so I don't know if they're gonna meet that exact date, but it'll be close to it.
Yeah, Major, you know how to do your job better than I can ever tell you, but I would say, my understanding is police officers override the lights, so do what you gotta do, because I doubt that light's gonna be properly timed in time for the beginning of the school year.
Well, we'll monitor it. We'll work with the county when they come out, because they're going to mimic what the officer's doing. So that's when we spoke with them. I'm like, listen, you want to know what the light has to do? Just
There you
watch
go.
what the officer's doing. We already have a contingency in place that we will be there regardless, because, you know, it could be a delay for any reason. So we already have it scheduled. Our officers are scheduled to be there Thursday, first thing in the morning at both intersections, even when the light goes online, to make sure there's no hiccups and the timing is off. Because, you know, again, the officer is acting like a traffic light. He's there controlling traffic in all directions, and that's really why the light's needed. Now that's going to free up our officer to be able to do other things like patrol, handle calls, and do traffic enforcement. So it'll be great, and that light will be there at all times, because sometimes in the afternoons it's challenging, and at lunchtime, if you ever go through there, those, you know, so it's going to be there the whole time. It's going to be great, but it's just, you know, people have a hard time dealing with something new, but we've already been doing it, so it's just, now it's a full-time thing.
Thank you, Major.
Major, I had the opportunity to visit a city on the West Coast, and one of the things that I'm not big on social media, but my wife happens to do that for a living, and she showed me a very cool post that they showed. It was an Instagram post, and they detailed their call for service. Nothing very significant, right? But, you know, this week, your police responded to 5 noise complaints. You know, we issued 26 citations and helped save, you know, a person that was drowning. I think that would be brilliant. You know, I know, and I don't think you're big into social media either, but when I saw that, not only are you giving back real-time feedback of what happened that week, but it's just a matter of pride in the police department sharing the good work that you guys do. And you know, I don't want to I'm not big on, you know, filing new business items when they can just be taken care of with a conversation, but I would encourage you to do that. Again, I'm not a big social media guy, but it really left an imprint on me on what a good job this city is doing, really highlighting the work that their policemen and women are doing on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, I've been doing that a lot too, with keeping you guys informed through emails. So every time we have a highlighted arrest or a license plate reader hit, that's a successful event, or any incidents that occur that are to be known, we always share that information.
You're a great communicator.
I like to cheerlead for our team.
You do a great job at that, and you really like to highlight the successes, especially ones that have deep impacts in our community, you know. And the traffic details, I think you've been the biggest champion of that, and that work has really been something that's solidified my position to make sure that, look, we're definitely on the right track of this. I'm just saying, for the layperson, I thought it was really, really cool to see the day-to-day work. You know, and you heard it in some of the officers that we recognized at the last meeting last month. You know,
Sure.
This is the grunt work we do every day. But I think sharing that on social media posts from time to time,
Sure.
I think is good. You know, especially when we're tackling issues like noise complaints and, you know, Airbnb issues. You know, we got hit with that last week. But just giving you that as feedback, not filing a new business item. You know,
Yeah,
there's
I
people
love
that are
it.
very powerful communicators through social media, and I think you can leverage that to really celebrate the
We'll work
success
on
of your
that.
men and women. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Major. Appreciate you and the men and women of our department. Attorney's report.
Real short, heads up, I'm going to be revising the attorney representation policy. That's the policy where if someone files an ethics complaint or there's some sort of a lawsuit or something like that, that we defend the members of the council. And I think there's some tweaks that need to be made to it from the last time. Just heads up, you'll see that for the next council meeting.
All right, thank you. Everybody enjoy the first week of school. God bless. Stay
Mayor,
safe.
and before adjourning, to your credit, I completely blew the over-under bet on this meeting. You did a great job. You did a great job chairing, and thank you for getting us out of here in a timely
It was only
manner.
6 of us, man. We didn't have the parliamentarians stopping
There we
us.
go,
off.
there we go.
It was only. And our extra council members behaved well today, too. So, all right, this meeting's adjourned. Have a great week. Happy first day of school. God bless.